Alrighty, chat. Welcome to another Healthy Gamer GG stream. My name is Alok Kanoja. Just a reminder that although I'm a psychiatrist, nothing we discuss on stream today is intended to be taken as medical advice. Everything is for educational or entertainment purposes only. If y'all have a question or concern, please go see a licensed professional. Yeah, so happy for those of y'all that are in the United States or in North America, and if y'all celebrate Thanksgiving, a happy belated Thanksgiving to you. To the rest of y'all in the world, happy Friday. Yeah, I'm not sure what the intro music is. I think maybe it was made by someone in our community. I'm not 100% sure. So, yeah. So, and also Black Friday, right? So I don't know, is Black Friday like worth stuff anymore? Is it still good? Like, do you still get good deals, or is it basically like a scam now? What do y'all think? It was your birthday. Happy birthday, Doomera. So today, y'all, we're going to be doing an interview with Sliker. I don't know exactly what we're going to be talking about. Whatever Sliker wants to talk about is what we're talking about. And I understand there was some, you know, controversy or something a little while ago. I don't know the details of that. That's usually how we tend to approach these things. And we'll just talk about whatever we're going to talk about today. Yeah. And so I encourage y'all to, so I know it's challenging, but sometimes we talk to people who may be a little bit controversial. And so I encourage y'all to have the same open mind and compassion that we extend to all of our guests. That's part of what we do here, right? Is we like try to talk to everyone and we try to hear their perspective on life and whatever, and hopefully we can like learn something from it as the human race. And so that's what we do here. So I ask y'all to, you know, just extend the same courtesy to Sliker that you extend to everybody else who's here. We're not saying don't be judgment free, right? So I know that this also sounds a little bit strange, but I think it's fine to form judgments, but like have some compassion. So judgment is actually a natural part of the mind, and like our mind is designed to form judgments, and that's okay. And let's just try to understand everyone's perspective, and who knows what we're going to talk about. I have no idea if it's whatever was the controversy or not. But yeah, so without further ado, let's hop into our interview with Sliker. Yo, dude, can you hear me? Yeah, let me, I just had another problem. Source settings, yeah. Yep. Okay. Let me see if that, can you say something? Okay, it looks like people can't hear you. I think that's on my end, though.
Perfectly.
I can hear you fine. Okay, now we're good. It was on my end. Can you are you able to turn on camera?
Yep.
Hey, what's up, dude?
Yo, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, man, it's good. I'm good. Just wait one sec. I'm so sorry about this, Dr. K.
No problem, dude.
You remember me? Like from Stream Awards?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
It's been a couple years.
Yes, it has. It's been a while, but
that was back in 2021 or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We spoke briefly, I believe.
Yep, I was drunk. And
many people.
I love you, man. I love you, Dr. K. I fucking love you, man. I swear to God. Wait one sec. Why is this? so sorry.
It's all good.
Wait, let me do this. Mm-mm. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. So, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. How have you been, Dr. K?
It's been a couple
Been a
years.
while. Yes, it's been a while. It's been a while. I've always talked good about you, man. I missed you. Honest to God, like seeing you in person, one of the nicest people I've ever met. One of the genuine nicest people I've. I was shocked because, like, if you don't mind me saying this, because like I don't know who it is. Was it was it you or someone else? Because I got a DM and they on the when it all happened and checking up on me and stuff. It was I'm sorry, I'm a bit nervous. I'm a bit nervous. But yeah,
Oh,
you checked up on me and I appreciate that a lot, at that time. And yeah, man. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so
that's
sorry. It's I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
it's all good, man. I have no idea what we're talking about today, and it's kind
Um
of like open in that way. So anything in particular that you want to talk about or anything on your mind? Um,
yeah, just basically a lot of things really. Like just mainly basically about the past and what happened to me and you know, what's the best way on moving on in my way of what I'm doing is it correct or is it wrong or something like that? So I don't know. Did you hear about what happened with me?
sort of. So I know this is kind of gonna sound kind of weird, but I try my level best to not be aware of like what is going on with people.
Right.
Because in my experience, we've worked with over 500 streamers at HG, and like one of the key things that we've learned is what you see on the internet does not equal what is actually happening. I mean, it can at times, and the internet can be a useful way for people to share stories and share information, but we try our level best to like not judge based on what we read on the internet. So I
Right.
actually don't know the details of what you went through. I just know that you went through something and it seemed bad, bro. That's all I know.
It's gonna be bad. But do you want me to long story or short story?
Whichever you prefer. I generally like long stories, but
Damn.
but
All right.
only whatever you feel comfortable talking
No,
about.
no. I mean, I don't mind. I'd like to say it because it would be nice. Because I've said it so many times, and especially
Yeah.
to the people that still watch me, I say it, and I'll say it again. I don't mind. Basically, around. Do you know what Counter Strike is?
What?
Not say that. Counter Strike. Counter
Yeah, yeah.
Strike.
Counter Strike.
Yeah. So when that got released, a year later, you could buy skins, like
Yeah.
in-game skins and stuff. So I bought I used to buy skins just to play the game because it was nice and it was sexy. And then they released a site called CS:GO Lounge, and it was like a betting site, esports betting. So like pro teams, you just put your skin on it. So my skin could be like 100 to 200. I'll place it on the game, and I could win or lose. So basically, it was betting and I got addicted to it. I'd continuously buy and buy and buy. Then they shut down the site. They shut down betting for Counter Strike, and I didn't realize you could do this with real money until I watched like a game of football and you see it on the banner. And I tried it with real money. I won. I won like £6,000. I was buzzing. I gave it to my dad, and then I had spare change, gamble my own money, would lose it all, and then I'd like get into a fake argument with my parents and be like, "Dad, just give me my money back." He'd give it me, gamble it, lose all the 6K. Then what would I want to do? Chase the winnings. Is that correct? So chase the winning. No,
Yeah.
try
So
and chase back what I lost, basically.
win it back.
Right, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
And then I would do that and I'd fail obviously, get worse and worse, and then my goal was to get the 6K back because my dad would be like, "Where's that 6,000?" I was only like 18 or 19. So this is a long time ago. Oh
And
no,
how
sorry,
old are you
no, this
now?
was 21. How old do I look?
I don't know.
29 years old.
29. Okay.
Yeah. And so this was like I started all like 10 years ago, 18, 19 I started gambling. And then I'd continuously gamble, lose, 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 and it never stopped. I couldn't stop. But I wasn't that bad. I wasn't that bad. It's because I would only use my money, right? And I would like reach out to like when I used to work at my store or my I used to do sale. I was a sales advisor. I'd go up to my managers, be like, "Hey, could you spare like a few 20, 30 quid?" And then take their money, gamble it. But because they were in real life, they'd expect their money back in person. Then after that I became a streamer, started streaming, started making a lot of money. And yeah, I kind
Well,
of really got crazy with that.
when did you become when did you start streaming?
Late 2018.
Okay, so about five
Yeah,
years ago.
5 years ago. Yeah.
And what kind of streaming
But
did you do?
oh, sorry. I don't know. It was uh, Raj Patel?
Yeah.
I used to go on his shows a lot, and I used to. This is
Wait,
when he
Raj
started.
Patel is in Austin.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, sorry. Yeah, Austin. I used to go on his streams a lot, and he's the one that really made me. And I used to play Counter-Strike and just do like some interviews or something. Not interviews, like streams with like other Austin shows, guys in the show from the show.
Hmm.
And then sorry, I can't speak. I don't know. It's been a while since I've spoken to someone from like the Twitch community, so I don't know. I don't know. Anyway,
You sound really clear to me.
thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. And yeah, I didn't really gamble then because I was making good amount of money. I thought, what's the point in gambling? I'm making good money. I really did stop like late 2018 and then until August 2019, where I said, you know what, I got this much in my bank account. Let me just throw in a little joke. Lost it, went crazy, lost over 10,000 in probably like 2 days. And then I was like, I had a plan. So I would be like, let me just wait for my payment. But I was kind of not patient at that point. So I had a few friends I knew. So that was like MoTV, Miskiv, Trainwrecks, and John Zerka. Reached out to them and said, "Is it fine?" I was coming up with lies, just pretending like, "Oh, because my bank account got locked or something like that." I'd come up with lies just to feed my addiction. Um, and then, yeah, that's where it really started going crazy. I'd go,
And
I
when was this?
2019,
Okay.
August 2019, and then I would start going crazy. I promised myself not to ask viewers and not to ask people I'm not really close with. After those guys, my friends, I started saying, you know what? Okay, it's fine. I should ask these other streamers. And then I asked those streamers, and then I started asking people that I was close to in my community. And then it went to everyone basically. I went to all my subs, went to viewers, I went to people that I didn't really speak to. Um, uh, yeah, and I went crazy with it, and I didn't really realize how much I was really down by because my brain ignored that, and also I used to think what I was doing wasn't a bad thing. I don't know because in my head, like, have you seen any of the videos where I would walk around and be like, "Yo, King, can you keep it personal?" and stuff like that. Like I was sending personal videos just
Mm.
to prove to them that I wasn't hacked, and
Okay.
then yeah, I would just send it to them just so it would be proof, and yeah, I don't.
What did you think? You said you didn't think it was bad. Do you remember like what was going on in your head?
I would win. That was I don't know. It's just in my head. It was just like ignore that. You're gonna win some money. Main thing is, it's like, oh, I'm taking this money and I'm gonna win. Positive, 100% positive.
Mm.
I'm gonna win. And when I place it, I used to do sports betting. I didn't do slots. I wasn't addicted to slots. I would just do like sports betting, sit down and do tennis. And I'll just sit down. It was my entertainment. Like Dr. K, I'm telling you, it was
Mm.
wild. Like I don't know. Is this number? Wait, before we do anything, like, am I allowed to swear? Is this like a
Yeah.
PG?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think it's just nothing that's a TOS violation, but I mean you
Oh no
can.
no no no
Yeah.
no. So it was wild. Like I'd even put up like bets, and then I would like go on porn and like watch both. Right. So it was wild. Like I'd be watching it, be like, damn, she lost, and then I'd stop, get angry, and then move on to find someone else and ask a message, and yeah. It went to legit anyone that was close by, like my family, my mom, my dad. I would even lie to them and do the same story with them. Um,
It,
my close friends. It got to the point even people come to my house and stuff. And
is it okay
yeah,
if I ask you a couple questions about this liquor?
yeah, sure.
So, and when you did lose, so do you remember what would happen in your mind?
That I would. I can't say because I feel like it started. I started moving on. I don't know. I don't know. If I'd lost, it would be like I don't know. I think it would be just like move on or something. Like fine. Like you continue. Don't stop. You know. Try and you're gonna win no matter what. One day you're just gonna win. But like realistically, listening to it now, I didn't really do big bets. You know, it would be like the max I won from betting was like 14,000. And
That
I was like, and I was in debt of, so eventually one of my viewers, I asked one guy, and then he found out that I asked other people, and he found it dodgy, and he recorded it, and I was like, it came out, it went out on live stream fails, and everyone found out what I did, and I didn't know that I was in minus. I knew it was in the 100,000 mark, but I didn't know it was that to that point of $300,000.
oh my god, that's a lot.
Yeah, no, well, it would be way more than that but that's because some people probably didn't want their money back or something. But
So
yeah,
three 300,000 is what you owed other people, what you had borrowed from them?
I yeah.
Yeah. And over what
Plus,
period of time? Like,
um,
how long did it take to get to that number?
from August 2019. No, 2020, early January 20, February 2020. I'd say it was like that, or late March. I was
Okay.
starting to do that, and I would like, yeah, because like even I went to um like Miami, and I stayed with my ex-girlfriend in her house, and I'd tell her to pay for the food for me, because on the side I was like gambling my own earnings, and I'd be like, don't worry about it, you just buy the food, I'll pay you it back. And that's when it started going crazy, and I'd just continuously ask other people like on the side, and if they could, but then eventually um, you know, XQC and Ludwig, they paid off the people that I will, no matter what, I'll call them my heroes, even if it's stingy or cringe, I don't care. But these guys are my heroes. These guys, which they didn't have, not, I know that they didn't have intentions of doing it for me, but they did it for the people that I owed. But they paid off the whole debt.
Wow.
So I was, yeah. But there were a few people out there that didn't want their money from Ludwig, which I would understand from XQC and Ludwig. They wanted me to work to pay them off. So then, of course, when I got exposed, I thought like I still have a chance, because I didn't believe that what I was doing was wrong. I genuinely didn't believe it. I was confident. I was confident that these guys are gonna get their money back. Then, seeing it now, obviously not. But then I was like, oh, these guys are gonna get their money back. No
Yeah, of
problem. Let me
course.
just, let me continue sending videos, and oh, can I do this? Can you help me with this? But like, I would realize a lot of times that what I'm doing is wrong. I'd a lot of times I'd think of like, just sit down, gamble, you're gonna win this. When I lose, I'd go cry. Okay, I'm not gonna say mom. I said on my mom's life a lot of times, but I would cry a lot of times. Like I'd punch my pillow, punch the wall, punch my leg, and even I'd go live and come up with excuses like to ditch, not stream. I'd put no effort into the content I would create. I would like watch my like the tennis while I'm streaming and pretend I'm paying attention to stream, and then once they're losing or something, I'll start punching my leg, so no one could tell. Um, I was in like Team Liquid. You know Team Liquid?
Hmm.
I was in Team Liquid. I'd even ask them for money. Like I went to anyone. I legit went to anyone.
And
Parents.
when you said that you were like upset, you would punch the pillow or whatever. Like, what were you upset about?
Like, okay, I was pissed because I lost.
What were you pissed at?
That I lost my bet, and then I'd have to go to another one, and I'd have to ask someone else. But then when I'd ask someone else, those emotions are gone, and then I'd start thinking of, at the same time, I'd want to say that weirdly, it pleased me. Like I know it's weird. It pleased me. I enjoyed it.
You
Like
enjoyed what?
gambling.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I think people do, man.
No, like I mean, like it. I would sit down and watch it and be like, I don't know, it wild me up. I'm like, damn, nice, okay, And then I'd go out of my mind when they would lose a game. I would go into the people's Instagram account, like the tennis player, go into the Instagram account and just scroll through the comments and read the nasty things at them. And I'm like, good. Like it was that bad. I would go to the comments and be like, that's good. She deserves that. She rigged the game, the bitch, or male or female. I'd be like, fuck you for throwing that game. Then
Hmm.
obviously, eventually, I'd be like, damn, that's sad. And then at times, I would cry and realize that, I need to fix myself. I wish I could prevent this. I wish I could be debt free. I wish I could stop. I'd cry. About 30 minutes later, I'll go back and do it again.
So when you said you wish you could be debt free, you could fix this. What were you trying to? What did you wish you could fix?
Not be in debt anymore. Paid everyone off that I owed. That
Okay.
was my it was my goal, but then again, I can say that, betting was something that I enjoyed doing as well. So,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know,
so I think that makes a lot of sense. Um, and by the way, Slicker, thank you so much for sharing this. Are you okay talking about? I mean, I know you've been
no,
talking about it, but I just want to check in with you again.
no, I mean, honest to God, doing it with you, I feel more comfortable doing it with,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
know?
I think can I just share like a couple of initial like thoughts?
Yeah, yeah,
So the first thing is just listening to you. Um, I've done a fair amount of addiction work, but usually like substances and technology. Like not, I haven't worked with a whole lot of people who have struggled with gambling, relatively speaking, of course. So not like hundreds of people, let's say. But I think the main thing that I'm kind of hearing from you is how not negative all of it is. So I know it sounds weird, like we're talking about that it's like a bad thing, but as I listen to your experience, I'm sort of hearing you say, okay, I wish I could take this away, and what I'm sort of hearing you kind of say is like you wish, not that it's not clear to me that you understood you had a gambling problem at that point, but that what you really wanted to take away was the debt. And when
right,
you ask people for money, like you didn't even view it as bad because like you were gonna win,
right. And
right?
I thought I was gonna give it to them back,
Absolutely, right? So like that's kind of
which
the
is bullshit.
yeah. I mean, but now, that's what happens in our mind. Our mind gets away from us.
Right.
Anytime we're addicted, and maybe a little bit later we can talk a little bit more about that because I think there's a lot of things that you're describing which are really consistent with what I've heard other people say and what I've read about and stuff like that. And maybe towards the end we can kind of map some of that stuff out for
Right.
people who are watching and kind of like almost like warning signs where if your mind is doing this, then maybe you should be a little bit more careful or maybe think about getting some help. But I'm still just struck by how not negative your experience of some of this stuff is. And by not negative, I mean like, okay, you're like, okay, what I want is to not be in debt. What I want to borrow this money, but like I'm going to win and I'm going to pay it back. I don't get the sense that you thought you were taking advantage of people or you were trying to steal or anything like that. It was just a sure thing that you were going to
No,
win,
but
right?
I was at the point where it was like it was bad though. Like
Yeah,
at the
of
point where
course.
no, like I'll be like, I'm gonna pay these people back. But it came to the point where I would even genuinely like my thought of scam wasn't then. I didn't think of it as a scam. I thought
Yeah.
I'm borrowing money. I'm not doing anything bad. But eventually it came to like even people like Lakari and a few other people. I found ways of pretending to send their money back.
What does
So
that mean?
so on PayPal, you could do something called goods and services. I would pay someone with
Hold on,
goods and
Slicker.
services.
Before you keep going, I just want to make sure that you're not gonna. I don't want to. So we always want to. We don't want people to get hurt by coming on and talking to us. So
No,
there's nothing you're going to talk about here that would be confessing to a
no,
crime
no,
or
no.
anything like that, right?
No.
Okay.
This was 2000. This is last year,
Okay.
September 17th, 2022. It all came out. At the start, I was scared. I was really scared. I wanted to do like I wanted to disappear. But I couldn't. It was just suicidal thoughts. But then, of course, with Ludwig and XQC helping me out, paying off everyone, um, it helped me a lot. I said, you know what, it's time to be actual man because I'm 28 years old doing this sort of immature shit, and as a grown-ass adult, you're not meant to do that. But I went out, found a job, worked as a security officer at the airport, and life was good because I actually started because the internet and reality is two different things.
Tell me about it, man.
Like when you talk to the internet people when you look at these people, you only see them as business associates. You would think they're your friends, but they're business associates. And then you get together, but then you start separating yourself when you see like the viewer or the audience not with you and or something like that. And then when you go outside and you work in a real job, it's a lot different. I told everyone what I did just so they don't trust me in case I do something stupid.
Hmm.
I told them all. I told my manager. I told the people I worked with. Well, the friends I had at work, and they were like, "We don't judge you. You're looking at you. You're coming here. You're doing work, and it looks like you want to improve yourself." And I was like, "Damn, that makes me feel good." and then it improved my confidence working there, but it also made me. I don't know. This is also something I want to know from you. Eventually, like I could never watch any of the reactions. I couldn't watch any of the reactions. Like, Asmongold's reaction was like saying, I don't care if these guys kill themselves. And then you got other people like all of these guys that was doing the reviews and stuff like that. It was too hard. I'd scroll down, read the hate. It was too hard. And
You're talking
the
about
beg
reactions about you.
reactions, right?
Yeah.
And seeing what I did as well is something I couldn't even do. I couldn't even watch it. It was too hard. And when I came out forward and cried and explained it to the internet, um, and then eventually, now my current stage is that I see my past self as a joke. I don't know from your side if that's a correct way of moving on, because I did go to therapy. I went to therapy at the start, but my job kind of like stopped me because like I was doing 12-hour shifts and I couldn't meet up with my therapist since she does only weekends and at certain times. And then I stopped, and then I couldn't come back into streaming. Some of the victims that I scammed, they were like, stop being a pussy. They would message me and stuff, and they were like, stop being a pussy, go live and stuff. On this, I know it might not be not believable from them to say that to me, but it is true. I don't want to name them.
So
Um,
when they said stop being a pussy, go live, were they they were still supporting you as a streamer? They were
they
saying
were
I'm confused by
They
that.
were they were my friends. They were there for me, but they
I
were
see.
also like scam. They hated me. They didn't want to talk to me. But eventually they started messaging me, and I was messaging them. I played games with them and stuff like that. And then they were like saying, "Should press the live button, stop being a pussy, go live and stuff like that." I genuinely didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do it at the start. And then eventually went live, and I started getting confident again, and started streaming during the times I was working. Then I got sacked from work. That's something I that's something I don't want to say why I got sacked for.
Sure.
And then it wasn't good. Um, and then well, okay, now I'm not making myself any better because I said it's not good.
No, no,
And let me give you a little
no,
insight.
no. You don't have to share. We're totally fine not knowing. Like, let's just
It
keep
wasn't
going.
illegal what I did. It wasn't bad. It was not the same thing I was
We don't,
doing. It was just human faults. Human
sure,
faults.
we
Yeah.
all have them. So you were saying people were messaging you.
Yeah, and then sorry, yeah, and then I started streaming, and yeah, I just the people would just use it against me, be like, "Look at this, look at it, lol, this is you begging," and this and that, and then I just got used to it to the point where I just laugh at my past, not to the point where I scam, but to the past of me as a gambler, I laugh at myself as. So when it
What do you
comes
mean
to a
by laugh
victim,
at?
so um, as a gambler, I would laugh and be like, this is someone different I'd look at. This is not the same me I see myself as. And in order for me to for me to move on, I'd see the parts where I'd be like, yo, King, can you keep it personal? I'd laugh at myself and be like, this guy's a clown. But at particular points where I'd be like, if it's any victim, I would not laugh at that, but like, for my past of my addictions, I would laugh at that. I don't know if that's a positive way of moving on. Because for me, people would try and use that against me, and I'm like, okay, all right, if you want to use that, that's not gonna affect me. I know I can better myself, and I know I can be a better human.
Yeah. So can you tell me? You said like something about being an actual man. What do you mean by that?
Oh, okay, well, um, yeah, I don't know about being an actual man still, but I mean, being responsible.
What does that mean?
Um, so I was, like doing my own stuff, like laundry. I was basically, I live at my parents' house at 29. So, I mean,
You
I
and
would,
50% of other people who are 29, by the way.
I don't care though. I don't care if I live with my parents, but, um, like she would make me the food. She would clean my clothes. She would do my bed and all that stuff, and then I started realizing, it's about time for me to start doing that myself and like, do my bed and you know,
Good for you, man.
well, not the food, but just put the food in the plate for myself and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, and something like that, and actually be responsible, do something and work, and you know, what is a man? I don't know. Define me what a man is, Dr. K.
All right.
Like um, being mature. I can't. That's something I can't be. Can't be that. I
Why
can't.
can't you be mature?
It's boring.
Okay.
I can't. I can't. I could not hang around with someone that's really mature. I mean, I'm not saying you. You are definitely mature, but I mean, I'm saying like someone that don't crack up with, small jokes or something
Sure.
like that.
So what
But
does
I am
mature mean to you?
um my father. Wait, no, that means actually I can't hang out with my father. No, no, I take that back. No,
What about your father makes him mature?
he's a man. He's a man. He he does things like the light bulb switches off. He's like, okay, he goes up, he does it himself, and I'm there watching him. He's running the bills. He, plans, uh, sorts everything out of the house, which is something I have no clue of. And yeah, that's someone, a man, a man.
Someone
Um,
who's responsible, someone who takes care of shit.
Someone's responsible. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, someone
Dependable.
who's right, right, right. Someone like that. I'm not at that current stage still. I would say that, I'm very immature. And
Someone who doesn't need to be bailed out.
correct, exactly. Someone who works to pay these people off. Which
Okay.
I did. I know not to be. I'm not gonna say, oh, I'm taking all credit and stuff. I did work because there were a few people that wanted their money back. Someone took me to court. And I worked off, paid that person back. A few of my people from outside of my friendships, I owed. I worked, paid them back. There are a few people that still I still owe. And I will work to pay them back as well. And yeah, but
How
yeah,
does it feel
definitely.
to pay people back?
It feels good. I mean, I can't say the fi- the people that I owed right now. It does feel good, But I don't want to. I'm not gonna take. I'm not gonna be like, I paid them back. I'm always gonna be
Sure.
like these guys, XQC and Ludwig, because are the reasons for me to afford to pay some of these people I owe back.
Sure.
But it feels good. Like I can't lie. The life I had when I was streaming, it was beautiful. I could go on holidays. I got free stuff and stuff. But the life I have now is a lot better than I did it when I was streaming back in the
How
days.
so?
I It was depressing. Like I was faking my act. I was using people. I wasn't investing my money. I used to go live, didn't put effort into my streams, and yeah, I was just genuinely just a scumbag.
You used to go live and put effort or not put effort?
No, no effort. Like my viewers would love. They wanted me to collaborate with other streamers. They wanted me to do IRL streams and stuff, but I never did any of those. Just
What?
so I could just like sit down and watch like betting on my right screen or something.
Okay. So you feel in some ways that your life now is better? What's different now?
That I'm in a safer place. That everyone got their money back. Um, I'm not as depressed. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. That's a huge thing as well. Because like I wasn't grateful when I was streaming. I'm definitely grateful to be in a position like this because you already know, like for what I did, I could have been in a lot worse place than if not for those for XQC and Ludwig. I could have been in jail. I could have been I don't know. Could have been 6 feet under the grave. I don't know. I couldn't tell. But yeah,
So
definitely being grateful as well.
what are you grateful for?
Um, I'm grateful for a lot of things. So like for being debt free, for having a few friends there for me still, family, um, given a chance. Um, I feel like I'm missing something and I can't think of it.
That's I
When you
I I I, I mean I think that's not, but I think it's also so everything you said makes a lot of sense to me, and I think sometimes it's interesting you say you're missing something. I think in a sense you probably are, but I think that sometimes we don't have the words to express what we're grateful for. Because you can
right,
feel gratitude without really even knowing exactly what you're grateful for. Um, and one of the things that I'm kind of getting from you is sort of like there was this alternate path to your life. And some of the gratitude I'm feeling off of you is that you're not on that path anymore. And that
right,
path comes with all kinds of problems and honestly some nice things too, because you're going on holiday and you're getting free stuff and you're
Right.
streaming with
Right.
big people and you're a big
Right.
person, and so
Right.
there's a lot of stuff that's alluring about that life. But I think what a lot of people don't understand looking from the outside is that there's a lot of toxicity in that life too.
True.
There's a lot of
True.
fame
True.
and fun
And
and
ego is that's annoying. It's annoying because, like, I mean, to be honest, look, Dr. K, where I work, there were ego people over there as well. Like managers would like look down at you, and it's the same. It's honest to God, it is the same though. But yeah, I mean, it was also like, when I went there, people would be like whispering to other people, that guy did this guy did this guy did this, and like even at a particular point where I was like on break, I come back and you'd always have to go to your manager because the manager would point you to go to like do your bags, do X-ray or do something like that. I went to my manager. These two managers sitting down watching a video of me getting exposed, laughing on, on my life. I was in shock. So the girl that told him about that, raged at her. I was like, I don't get it. How is this meant to be funny? But then the girl didn't really know what I did. They just opened the video. They didn't have a clue what happened, and she didn't know who I was because people were telling her, and it felt like it was a bit uncomfortable. I didn't like it. I didn't like working with the people around me because they don't say it to you. Because I would be okay if they came up to you and be like, okay, this guy did this. And I'll be like, okay, yes, and it is me. I'm not gonna say it's not. I'm not gonna be proud of what I did, but they wouldn't do that. They would just go behind, and I'll be like, "Who said that? Who said that? Who is saying that?" So I'd
yeah.
avoid speaking to them.
And so, Sliker, you're saying you had some questions about moving on. So what can you tell me a little bit about that?
Um, I mean, today, I it's because right now I've had like after the whole thing, I had my family supporting me and my ex-girlfriend throughout the whole thing. They uh they supported me through all of it. My sister prevented me from using my card. Like she would, take ownership. So whatever I'd pay, it would be through the card she's holding. So I was under um yeah, I don't know the word for it in English, but basically they would look at what I'm spending on stuff, and they would spend it for me. They'd sort all the bills, they sort the debts, and send it to the people I owe and stuff. And wait, what was the question?
So what you said you're curious about, or you're trying to move on, and I was just
Oh, yeah,
curious
yeah,
what
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
meant
yeah, yeah.
and what makes that
Um,
hard.
so I feel like I don't know if I'm 100% positive, if I'm confident if I've moved on, because I did that the same way back in the days in 2017. I mean, the scam thing won't ever happen, but gambling, I don't know if that will ever happen. And to be honest, when I say that scam thing won't ever happen, who knows if I ever go back to gambling, I could be still that same degenerate. But for example, like in 2016, I stopped gambling and I froze it. I tried help, and then a month after, I was like, you know what, I'm okay. Took my card back, didn't gamble. Month later, I saw a little bet, said, let me do a little cheeky tenner, lost it, and then lost and lost and lost. And I went back into it, never stopped. Um, so, like, I'm wondering am I forever gonna stay as an addict? Because I'm not confident. Today, I had a dream, and this is not a lie, I swear to God. I had a dream that I had $1 in my account. Opened it, I said, you know what? I don't do slots. Let me put it in a slot machine. And this is a dream. I won 37K from a slot, just from one spin from $1. And I was happy. It felt so real. I swear to God, it felt so real because all the things I could just think of what I'm gonna do with it. And then I said, you know what? Since it was 37,867, I said, let me slot with the $7. I won 67,000, or up 100. Gave it to my dad. Woke up and I felt sad. So I don't know. Is it inside of me still? Do you think I can ever come to the point where I can actually like be confident with myself and not do it anymore? Like I don't know. I really don't know. I don't trust myself either. I don't trust myself either.
Sliker, so here's the thing. This is such a beautiful question. It's a question that people have been asking for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And we're going to talk about answers to the question, but I don't know that there is one. I think we'll talk about it. It's a beautiful, I'm excited because I think when I was training to become a psychiatrist, these are the kinds of questions that we would talk about, not only with our patients, but with my teachers. So what does it mean when someone is an addict? Does it mean that they're this way forever? And what I'd love to do is just share with you kind of my understanding. I don't know specifically about you, but just what I understand about that question and how I approach it, how I think about it, what we know about neuroscience, what we know about psychology. And I think the dream stuff in particular is fascinating. So I'm just going to make a note of that. But
I've never had this before. Never had this. Today it was so random. Today it was random. I don't know.
It's not random.
Huh?
It's not. Of course, it's not random. You said you've never had this dream before, right?
From over a year of being sober.
Yeah.
And it.
Of course, it's not random.
Right.
So what else is happening today?
Excuse me?
What else is happening today? You said this is the first time you've had this dream, right?
Okay.
You had it last night.
Right.
So what was on your mind when you went to bed last night? What was on your mind the day before, yesterday? What was on your mind when you woke up this morning?
Dream.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. So we're having this conversation.
Right.
So you're mentally preparing
okay.
that we're going to talk about this. Right.
Right.
So I don't think it's a coincidence that, it sounded like you started betting at the age of 18 or 19, and for 10 years you've never had this dream.
No.
And today's what? Some magical coincidence? Wow! Out of 3,650 days, this is the day you have the dream.
Yep.
So there's good news, Sliker, which is that your mind operates based on science, based on some logic. And it's my belief that the better you understand the way that your mind works and the rules of the mind, you will find an answer to this question of moving on and what you can do and what you cannot do.
Right.
Before we dive into that, can you just tell me a little bit about what growing up was like for you?
I had strict parents, and it was in a good way. I personally, I believe it was not bad what they did, but they were strict. I couldn't use the internet at certain times. I was so I would go to school. I have ADHD.
Okay.
And it was so hard to focus in school. I failed all subjects, well, except for maths. I got a C. That's the highest. When I first went to school, like in the end of primary school, I'd mess about and all that stuff, and they'd call in my dad many times. I'd get in trouble, get grounded, and then eventually I went to high school, and again, the same thing. I would just do stupid things. And yeah, I was in, what's it called? The highest, learning support. I was in learning support, the highest one.
Okay.
Do you know what learning support is?
It sounds like you needed some kind of support to help you learn.
Right. So it basically does levels. So if you're in the highest level, you get the best, the hardest questions in maths and English.
Oh.
I was in the worst one.
I'm confused. Does that mean that you needed more help or you were getting super challenging questions?
No, I was needed more. I needed help.
Okay.
Yeah. But
and you said you did stupid stuff in high school? Like what?
So there was these guys that used to kind of bully me. Yeah, kind of. But I would try and be on their side. So there was this time that was under the stairs and there was a fire alarm. They were like, "Yo, go show us how sick you are." I was like, "What?" And it was like, "Yeah, punch that fire alarm." I was like, "Yeah, come then." I was smiling and all that. So I punched the fire alarm and it went off. And then the head teachers came. I ran upstairs and then I tried to do a reverse psychology and went to the head office and snitched on myself. And I cried, but it was a fake cry. No, I was actually crying, I think. Was I? I don't know. So no, I wasn't crying then. I wasn't, but later on I was crying. I went up to them. I said, some guys actually, forced me to do this, and I didn't want to do it. And they were like, "Are you sure?" Then they showed me the camera, and they saw me smiling in it. And then yeah, so my parents came, and I got suspended for like 2 weeks from school, and then I don't weird stuff. I don't know. Even when I went to work experience, year 10, my uncle said you can work at hours, and I'd go up to the frying pan and I'd spit. Now hold on, don't worry. No one ate this. But I'd spit in the what's the thing that you put the burgers on?
The grill?
I was testing you. Congratulations, you passed. Yeah, the grill, and it would sizzle. The spit would sizzle. I was like, "Yo, that's cool." So I bought him. So I brought him my uncle. I said, "Look at this spat," and he looked at me and smacked me. I didn't realize. I don't know why, but I didn't realize it. And then he sprayed it, cleaned it. I was like, "Do you not know?" And I was like, "Oh, of course, you put the burgers there." So yeah, a lot of times I've done a lot of stupid things. I don't know. I don't know why. Weird.
Okay.
Questionable.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very helpful.
But that's oh no, sorry, yeah. And then like internet was strict. Like I couldn't go on the internet when I'm home. My dad would be like read a book for 1 hour, and then
Did you like
I'd
reading?
oh hell no. Hell no, no offense, you know. I'm kind of getting into reading right now because I'm inspired by Tupac. You know Tupac,
Hmm.
Dr. K? He actually made me feel like a man. I'm serious. He's the one
How
that made
so?
me feel like because you know, what he did was he was a true warrior. You know, his background and what he did to his own kind and stuff, and his messages in his songs and stuff. So I felt like, it made me feel better. It made me feel like I wish I could be like him.
What what
So
what about his songs made you feel better?
it was like you know how you read books
Hmm.
and you picture it.
Hmm.
Me listening to his lyrics was picturing it as well. It was like reading a book, but I could visualize it, and it was so good. And it was like I'm educating myself with what he's saying and what it was like back in the days, and who to trust, who not to trust. I mean, who can I say that to trust or not? But I mean, from his perspective and stuff, it was good. So then, it made me feel like, in some aspects, it made me feel like a man, and it also made me feel like, what your weaknesses only makes you stronger, you know. And he was the same. He also wanted to kill himself after he got shot, which I'm not comparing myself to him, but he wanted to kill himself, but all he did was become stronger and stronger, and he, started going all out.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, let's get back to the thing.
No, this is great.
Books are just they are kind of boring. I mean, like I said, I am kind of like reading some books inspired from what he would read, like The Prince, uh, and what was the other one? No, just The Prince. I'm starting to read The Prince. Um, but I didn't really like reading books because my ADHD was so
Sure.
hard. It's so hard. I'd read 1 hour of a book, and in my head, I'm thinking of Counter-Strike. Like, it was creative. I have a creative brain. I could like control my brain as if I'm playing Counter-Strike. So well, it wasn't Counter-Strike. It was a game called AVA. But yeah, I
Okay.
was like, oh, sorry, I'm talking too
No,
much. I
no,
do
no,
apologize.
you're not talking to. You're
Uh,
doing great, dude. When
yeah,
so let me ask you. Do you have? So I understand your main question is okay. Like, what does this mean for my future? How do I move on? Am I always going to be like this? You have these kinds of questions, right?
and another one, like if I like, I'm not ready to get a woman, but like, I don't think a woman would be okay hearing about my past. Like,
What a great question.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I don't.
Give me all Slicker. This is awesome, dude. Like I
Oh,
love
you
these
being
questions.
serious? I thought you'd be sarcastic.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. But yeah, yeah, like um, stuff like that. Like, I'm not
Any
confident. I'm not confident speaking with with a woman. It's like there was this woman I was actually interested in. She was like beautiful, and then she was like, "You do know I know you about your past." I was like, "Yep, I don't know. This is awkward. I can't just move on."
Okay.
So I don't know. Sorry,
Other
go.
other thoughts, concerns, questions?
Other thoughts, concern, questions.
Other thoughts or concerns or questions that you
Oh,
want to share?
other. Oh, um, no.
Okay.
All right.
Can I
No,
think for a second, Slicker?
absolutely. Take your
Actually
time.
I'm gonna need like a minute or two.
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay. Let me ask you one other question. Do you have a sense of, so you said there have been periods of your life where like this hasn't been a problem for you, right? Like the gambling, right?
What do you mean by that? When?
Like there are times where you weren't gambling.
During the times when I started gambling.
Yeah, so like you've been gambling off and on for like 10 years or more than
Yes.
10 years,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But there are periods of time when you're not gambling.
Right.
What's your understanding of what's different about those times?
Oh, English was so good. I'm so sorry. Could you elaborate a bit
Sorry.
more? Like, what was that last sentence?
So what was going on when you weren't gambling? What was different about your life so that you weren't
Okay.
gambling?
I can't remember the time when I was working at 3. I can't remember that. But when I started streaming, I said there's no point for gambling. You know, like I'm making enough money. There's just no point. There's no need.
I'm making enough money. Do you remember how you felt about streaming? Was it mostly about the money, or was it like, huh?
No, like as in I'm making more money that there's no need to gamble. You know, like compared to when I was working at 3, I'd still make good money, like 1,500 a month, but I'd want more. Like I'd want to hit 10K. But when I was streaming, I was making a lot of money.
So, but then I'm a bit confused, right? So once you start streaming and you start making money, why would you start again? Why would you start gambling at all?
Because no, it was just a little cheeky for fun. You know when people gamble for a little fun, you know. So I just did it for a little fun. I just checked.
Cheeky tenor, as you said. Right?
Yeah, I can't. To be honest, it was probably not even a cheeky 10. It was probably a cheeky £500 or something like that.
Okay.
You know, so I was like, yeah, just do it. Then I was like, yeah, just for fun, and that did not turn out to be fun because that was just when it all happened again.
Okay.
But it was good because like even when I was like, I was able to like afford to go, you know, pay for my own flights and stuff. I'm sorry, actually, are you still collecting thoughts?
No, you're good.
Yeah, it felt good because like it was my own money. I could spend it on this, and I was smart for once. I was actually smart and saving my money, which I never did. I saved up like 15K, 15 to 20K in my bank. That's the highest I've ever seen in my streaming career from my own money. And then, yeah, sorry.
And when this stuff was going on, did your parents or family think? Yeah.
No, they had no idea.
They had no idea. Okay.
No, they did at one point when I won the 6,000, but that was when I was young. I said, Dad, I won this from it. Here you go. And he was angry. He was like, you don't ever do that again, because his morals is like hugely against gambling, anything that's haram, basically. Well, for me.
What's your ethnicity, Sliker?
Iraqi.
Okay.
I don't know what that is in ethnicity though. White, Arab.
No, it's fine. So okay, so it's haram, right? Along with alcohol and pork.
Right. I mean, I have a mixed family, so like my dad's not that religious though. So,
are you religious?
I believe in it. I believe in the religion, but I'm not practicing Muslim.
What do you mean by believe in the religion?
I believe there's Allah. I believe there's sins. I believe praying. I believe He's testing us. I believe, you know, that is the right and correct path, but I'm not doing it. If that makes sense.
And what's your understanding of why you're not doing it?
Laziness.
And if you were less lazy, what would doing it look like?
Would obviously be with God.
Okay. So how does one be with God?
By following what it says in the Quran.
Okay. So observing what the Quran says.
Right. You know, like praying, being a good person, not doing any sins, not drinking, not doing any of those haram stuff, not masturbating, which is hard for me as well, Dr. K. It's hard.
It's hard for a lot of people.
No, I mean genuinely, it's hard for me. Like I think I don't know if it's an addiction, but I remember a lot of names.
What
You
does
know,
that
I
mean?
go into detail. Like I know a lot of porn star names,
I see.
and yeah, and I'd search them up by that, and I'd do when I was young, I would do 5 times a day, and I'm 29. I'm doing twice. Well, not twice. I do it like actually, I'm dying out to be honest. I'm doing it like 3, 4 times a week
You
to
used to
play.
masturbate 5 times a day?
Oh yes, hell yeah, and it was weird. Like I don't know if you want me to go into detail with that, Dr. K, but it was wild stuff. Like I would,
L-
yeah, I think it would be better
let's
if we don't.
yeah, let's table that for now. But I do think that's actually like a significant detail.
Oh, I thought you said significant improvement.
Well, I mean that maybe too, but um,
If you don't
it
mind me asking, Dr. K, how old are you?
41.
What? That's crazy. No, you do look like you're in your early 30s. That's crazy.
Good genetics. I'm lucky.
Yeah, that is crazy. I wish I looked like you when I'm 40 then, because that's only 10 years soon. That's crazy. And when did you get married, if you don't mind me asking?
I got married at I want to say 28, maybe.
I'm 29. Do you understand? Like, 29, and you was 28. You married. Definitely were mature then. And like, I'm 29. I'm still bitchless. No, I'm so sorry. Like, apologize for saying that word. Womanless.
And
Wait,
what's your
what?
understanding of why that is?
Um, not confident anymore, really. I'm just not confident.
Okay.
Wait. What was the correct answer? There's a correct answer, and I missed out. You tell me.
There's
You
no,
tell
no,
me.
no. I mean, I think that's a big part of it. But I think when your default, when the words that naturally come out of your mouth is bitchless, right? So that means that there's a certain conditioning, which I think could be getting in the way too. But
Trust me.
I
I was really, I was so respect. I had an ex. We were dating for 2 years, and we broke up because, like, she would tell me to stop gambling. She knew I was gambling, but she didn't know it was that crazy.
I,
And she'd be like, "Stop," or we start. I was respectful. I'm a
I,
respectful man.
I believe you. So, but I think confidence is a good place to start. But we can talk a
Right.
little bit about comparison and stuff like that too. But let me just. Are you cool if I use an iPad and draw on it?
Yeah, do whatever you
Okay.
want.
Give
Yeah.
me a second.
Why?
Well, we're gonna go to class, Sliker.
Okay. All right.
You want to talk about?
I'm gonna try my hardest to focus. I'm so sorry. Like,
I think it'll. My thought is that it'll make it easy for you to focus and not harder.
okay.
But if that changes, you let me know, okay?
Um, Sorry. Wait, I have another question as well for
Yes,
you.
please.
Now, with addiction, that was okay. Come to that later. With addiction, right? Sports betting and casino and slots, different addictions, correct or not?
Yes and no. So that's why we're gonna explain all this stuff, okay? So let's understand. These are all honestly, Slicker. I don't think I've. If I tell you that I think something is a good question, I'm not like trolling you. Like I genuinely think it is a good question. Like I'm not.
Right. Okay.
I think your questions are all awesome. I think there's. By the way, have you ever been taught how to pray?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Say, of
yeah,
course.
yeah. I've been. My mom taught me how to pray when I was young, and she would always tell me like, just come back, stop praying and believe and stuff. I know eventually I'll, commit to praying and soon, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
I don't
totally.
really, I
So
don't want
I'm
to take.
gonna go ahead and we're gonna do this. Hopefully, uh-oh. Give me a second, okay?
Yeah.
My. Oh, hold on. Oh shit! I guess I can't do that here. Give me 1 second.
Take your time, sir.
Okay, let's move this over here.
I just want to say, thank you for doing this with me, Dr. K.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for coming on, Sliker. All right. Can you all see this? I know you can't right now, Sliker, but we're going to fix that in a second. So I'm going to screen share with you, and I just want to check in with chat that they can see what I've got here. Can you all see okay? Chat? This is the only time I don't usually pay attention to chat. No offense, chat. Okay, great. All right, so Sliker, you're asking, can we move on? All right, so a couple of things. Oh. Bluetooth. Connect. There we go. Okay. So you're asking, can we move on? First thing that I'd say, Sliker, is that I do think, this is absolutely a question. You said you were seeing a therapist for a little while, and this is something that I strongly encourage you and everyone else. We're going to learn some basic principles today, and sort of like almost what I would teach if I was teaching medical students or psychiatry residents, and they asked me, hey, can a patient recover from an addiction? This is sort of the answer I would give. Does that make sense, Sliker?
The patient recover from an addiction?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that the question that you were asking when you said, can I move on?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So let's understand like why an addiction happens, like whether people, and then we'll be able to figure out whether you can kind of quote unquote move on or not. So the first thing to understand is that if we sort of like look at your history, right? You're someone who is impulsive and, how can I say this? Vulnerable to having fun. Okay?
Yes.
So like, do you kind of get what I mean? It's like, okay, you're down in the stairwell and someone is like, hey, Sliker, you want to hit this fire alarm? And you're like, yeah, bitch, let's go. You're sitting there at your uncle's like restaurant, getting ready to make burgers or whatever. And you're like, wow, let me spit on this. Like, let's see what happens. And it's like, that's pretty cool. It's sizzling. So do you see how like things that other people would not consider fun, or even things that other people would consider like foolish or stupid, you actually kind of like enjoy doing. And it's almost, I don't mean this in a bad way. It's almost like childlike with the level of joy that you get. If you really think about it, like, watching, if you take a 4-year-old kid and they spit on something hot and the child enjoys watching water sizzle, I don't think that that's a bad thing. You get what I'm saying? Like, there's just a simple joy of like, okay, this is cool. This is physics. It's like water is evaporating. Like something gets lit on fire. Like, oh, let's have a good time. Let's like, so this is what I kind of mean. There's like a vulnerability to having fun.
Right.
Okay.
That's crazy. I'm compared to a 4-year-old.
No. I don't. I didn't mean it as an insult. I think,
don't worry about it. I believe I'm like I act like a 10-year-old. So to be honest, it's not really.
So and there's a part of that that's true. I actually think that there's a lot of almost something to be aspiring to. I'm not trying to troll you here, but I think actually a big problem in the world is that we cannot enjoy things the way that you could enjoy them. Like, I actually think watching something sizzle, like watching water sizzle, is not like a bad thing. Like, it's pretty cool. And the world would be a very different place if we could just appreciate like normal, ordinary things, like watching water sizzle. And like, what happens if I, light something on, I mean, I don't think we should go around lighting things on fire, but like fire is cool, right? Like, it's cool to watch things burn. Like, we all love fireworks. Point is that there's I think that if we look at the way that your brain kind of works, and this is also consistent with having ADHD, you don't really think through the consequences before you act.
True. I don't think before doing stuff. True.
Right? And so if you kind of think about it, what is it that, if you don't think about what's going to happen when you do stuff, what is it that drives you to do something?
I don't know. Just me. Instantly, I know instinct. I just instantly do it.
Okay.
I don't know anything I see. Like, I don't know. That's crazy.
Okay, so what you call instinct, I'm going to call impulsivity, okay? It's kind of the same thing. But I think the other thing is that what drives you is like, this is going to be good. Do you kind of get that? Like, anytime you do something, pardon me for saying so, but anytime you do something stupid, You think that something good is going to come out of it. Like, I'm going to spit on this thing. Let's see what happens. I'm going to hit this firearm. Let's see what happens. Like, this is going to be lit. It's going to be great.
Right.
Let me put a cheeky tenor on this. Like, let's just win some. Like, let's go, baby. Like, come on, let's go. You know that kind of feeling that I'm talking about of like, let's go. Like, let's have a good time.
Right.
Okay. Now,
but as a grown adult though, at 29, to do stuff like that is, that's bad.
It can be, but I also think that there are many 40-year-olds who I think would be happier in life if they lived a little bit closer to the way that you have lived in the past. Right? Simple joys.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Right. So this is we're talking about it like it's a bad thing, but I would also say that this is simple joys.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
You kind of get what I'm saying there. I don't think it's necessarily bad. I mean, the way the way that you engage with it has been harmful in the past.
Yeah.
That I'll agree with. I don't think you should start putting cheeky tenors on things. Fine.
No.
But
No.
let's understand that what you have is, my goal with this is to explain this to you, and then for you to decide what is good and what is bad.
Right. Okay.
All right. So this is just kind of your makeup. Now, there's a couple of other things to understand. So when we gamble or other things, so you mentioned like masturbation, gambling. Okay. And then there's also other things here like alcohol, video games.
Right.
Right? So like all of these things in the brain are going to release dopamine in this part of our...
release dopamine?
Huh?
Video games releases dopamine?
100%.
How? What is dopamine?
Great question. So dopamine is a neurotransmitter. So that means that it's a chemical signal throughout our body and brain. So in the brain, we have different parts of our brain that dopamine does different things. So we have this part of our brain called the nucleus accumbens. And the nucleus accumbens is where we experience pleasure, where we have behavioral reinforcement.
Yep.
So I'll explain what this means, okay? Sorry, my handwriting is terrible. So when I do something and I have fun, I want to do it again, right? So if I like get a gift and then what happens, when I have fun in real life, what is happening in my brain? That experience of fun is governed by dopamine and the nucleus accumbens. And then the reason that the brain works like this is because it wants to reinforce behaviors that are pleasurable. So this is why, like, if we look at, like, let's say 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, when human beings didn't have the food that we have today, carbohydrates, sugars, and fats led to a survival increase. So if I just ate, like, vegetables all the time, I wouldn't survive. I would need to eat calorie-dense food because calorie-dense food helps human beings survive. Okay? Like, in nature, we're talking about, right?
Right.
So then what happens is our brain is like, okay, this food helps me survive. Leaves don't help me survive, but fried potatoes help me survive. So I'm going to release more dopamine in the nucleus accumbens when I have chips or French fries, and because that'll help me survive. And then we're going to want chips or French fries again. Right. So pleasure and reinforcing a behavior go hand in hand. Okay, so now we can look at these kinds of things. So masturbation, we feel good, right? When you tug one out.
Yep.
Alcohol, we feel good. Video games, we feel good. Like when you pop a headshot in CSGO, it's like, let's go, right? It's like, hey, I'm going to bet $500 on this. And when we win, it feels good. You with me? It's kind of the same feeling as when you're 1v5 in CSGO and like you think you're about to lose, but then you kind of reverse sweep them and you headshot people. You're out of ammo. You've got your knife left and there's still 2 of them left. And then you end up winning the match and you win with a knife without ammo. It's like, that's pretty fucking epic. Like, it's great, right? So, but dopamine also does other things. So it also does movement. So it's not just pleasure. So for example, when I move my hand like this, like if you just move your hand across your face, that's governed by dopamine. When we have a dopamine deficiency, we get like this thing where we can't move our hands smoothly and stuff like that. Anyway, it does more than that, okay?
Right.
So the key thing here is that if we look at kind of the way your brain is probably wired, this is what we know about people who get into problems with addiction, is that you're going to have problems with like multiple things. So sometimes you'll have a quote unquote drug of choice, but the basic issue here is that you are vulnerable to having fun, which is like a vulnerability to dopamine release in your brain. Okay. Now we have to look at a couple of other things. So this is kind of the way you're wired. This is also consistent with ADHD. So people with ADHD are more vulnerable to addictions. Okay? Not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. It's just the way that your brain is wired. So now let's understand a couple of things. So if we look at people who get addicted to stuff, they have a couple of neuroscience deficits. And that doesn't mean you're stupid or anything. These things can be built. But naturally, the way that your brain grows, it's wired in a certain way, and we need to work harder to wire other things. So the first thing is a lack of internal awareness. So this is consistent. You following what that means? I'll explain it. Okay. So this is consistent with just about every patient I've worked with who has struggled with addictions. So internally, we have all kinds of emotions. We have an ego. And when these things are bad, so when you're feeling like a lack of confidence, when you're feeling sad or pathetic, all right, I'm going to actually use like masculine language here. When you're feeling pathetic, when you're feeling dispensable, because here's the thing to understand. Men experience emotions differently.
Yeah.
And a lot of the emotional language that we use in psychology and psychiatry, like we'll use these words like sadness and shame and whatever. But in my experience, that's not the experience that men have. I don't feel sad. What I feel is pathetic. And those are kind of the same things, but we just have different language for it. So we'll feel sad, we'll feel dispensable, we'll feel like a fucking pussy, right? So like if I ask a dude, like, how are you feeling today? They'll say like, I don't know. And I'm like, are you a fucking pussy, bro? And he's like, yeah, man. But what is that? That's what we call shame. You see what I mean? Like shame or guilt is going to make, but that's not our experience of it. I guess we don't like wake up and we're like, oh man, I'm ashamed of myself today. You wake up and you say like, man, I'm a fucking loser. Like, why am I such a fucking loser? Right? That's what our subjective experience is. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now your brain has an issue. So it is vulnerable to having fun. It is vulnerable to dopamine, but it's not just a vulnerability. It's also an advantage because now your dopamine signal is so strong that any of this stuff that you are feeling will disappear if you can trigger this. So if we look at kind of like what's going on in people who are addicted, can you move on? Well, that depends. If this shit gets out of check, your brain knows that there's a 100% way to fix any of these problems. You know, all these fucking losers out here who fucking whining about their emotions and like, oh man, like I'm so sad and like, oh my God, I'm so pathetic. And your brain is like, fuck that. Yeah. We can make all that shit go away. Let's just place a little bet. Let's be on top of the world. You have a one-way ticket, an all-access pass to being on top of the world any fucking time you want. All you got to do, bet some money. Right? Because when your brain knows, I have $1 left in my bank account. If I place that bet, what are you going to get, son? I've never played slots before, so it ain't a problem. I haven't had a problem with slots, and it's just $1 left in my bank account. What am I going to do? How am I going to fix my life with $1? You can't do shit with $1. Can't even buy gum.
Yeah.
So what does your brain tell you? What are you going to do with that dollar, Sliker?
I mean, now?
In the dream.
Oh, obviously, bet it.
Bet it, right? Because when you bet that dollar, what's going to happen, Sliker?
Become a millionaire.
Not a millionaire, 37,000, right? So your brain is like, it's not crazy. It's smart. It knows that you can't become a millionaire off of $1, but you can win the jackpot. And then even then your brain is like, hey, look, we're smart. We made all this fucking mistakes. We've gambled away $300,000. We're not going to gamble. We won $37,000, 857 or whatever, right? That's what you said, something like that? Are you in your brain, in your dream, do you gamble away the 37,000? No, you gamble away the $7. We can afford to lose that. We can afford it. Right? It's okay, bruh. Don't worry about it. You got this, bruv. You feel me, bruv? We can do 7. It's just 7 quid, bruv. You got 37,000 in the bank. Come on, man. You deserve it. It's a little bit of fun. Let's go. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so your brain is like, it's interesting. We'll get to that in a second. But the key thing to understand is that there's a lack of internal awareness. And when there's a lack of internal awareness, negative emotions can pile up. Okay? So here's your negative emotions. And the thing is, your brain has a really interesting way where it can get rid of all these negative emotions. It can get rid of them through these things over here. Okay? You kind of following me? Like the masturbation, the gambling, playing games, whatever. It just shuts off our negative emotions. And even if we ask you, what was your experience when you lose? You'd smack a pillow a couple times, you'd rage, you'd cry, and then your mind is...
rage at people. I'd actually rage at people. I'd rage at my viewers. I'd rage at my
You'd
parents.
rage at these people who are fucking throwing tennis matches because they've taken this thing away from you.
Yep.
Oh my God. You were supposed to win. Don't you remember? You were supposed to win. That's how it was supposed to be. And these fuckers, they took it away. Fuck them.
Yeah. They were rigged, Dr. K. I'm telling you, they were all rigged.
But they were rigged last time. They're not going to be rigged next time. This time it's going to work because how many times can tennis matches be rigged?
Yeah.
Okay? So now we get to the third thing. So this is something you've got to understand. Can you move on? Well, that depends. I think the more that you are aware of this kind of stuff, the better off you will be. Okay? Because if you can manage your internal emotional state, so this kind of gets to, I know my handwriting is terrible. If you can't read something, let me know and I'll explain it. But here's the thing to understand. If we look at the times when you weren't gambling, I don't think it's just that you had money in your bank account, because you've had money in your bank account and you've gambled, and you've had no money in your bank account and you've gambled as well. I don't think it's the money in the bank account. I think it's when you were making money, your life was better in a lot of ways and you were feeling emotionally better. Your ego was also better, right? Because now you're making it, right? You're an important person. It's not just the money. It's that, look at me, like I'm on Austin shows, like I'm on Raj Patel's whatever like show, and like all these other people, like we're collabing with people like XQC and Ludwig, and like I'm a big boy, right? I'm a man now. Like this is this is what it is. Like I'm a streamer. I've made it. I ain't some chump. Like look at how awesome I am. So when you feel good about yourself, there's no need to gamble. But I don't think it's just the money in the bank account. I think it's the internal stuff, which many people, so men are at a disadvantage to begin with because we are not taught about our internal emotional state. And then furthermore, a lot of women aren't either, but this is sort of the way that men are raised. But as long as you're not aware of your internal emotional state, you're going to be vulnerable to this stuff. Because there's going to be things happening inside you that will be controlling your mind. Yep. And then we get to something that's very important. We need to understand signs of an addict's mind. So, and you've got kind of a classic addict's mind. Give me a second.
So I'm not the first. What about others, though, Doctor? So am I the first person you spoke to that's got like a gambling addiction?
No.
But have they done the same thing that I would do, like ask other people?
Fucking A, yeah, dude. Every single one.
So, okay, I'm sorry, just one thing. I know it's my fault and I take responsibility, but when they ask, if someone, for example, asks, do I jump and blame the addiction, or do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. So that's a great question. So do you blame the addiction? I would say that the addiction is not your fault, but it is your responsibility.
True. No, that makes sense.
Right. Okay. So if you ask, I mean, I think that, like, I don't know that blame actually like matters. So I think the problem is that a lot of people with addictions will absolve themselves of the responsibility because there's an addiction. So they'll say like, you know, like, oh, and so I think you're still responsible. It was you, right? And you could have made 1,000 other choices in 1,000 moments in your life that could have altered the course of where you are today. True. And at the same time, we also need to acknowledge that you were dealt a like pretty shitty hand. So some people aren't, like, the reason I'm not addicted to gambling is because my brain is probably a little bit different from yours. I don't get to take credit for that, right? It's not because I'm like a better person and you made some comparisons between me and you. I got married at the age of 28. That doesn't mean that I'm a better person than you or more competent. We'll get to this more at the end, but
Well, no, you are.
I disagree, and we can talk about that more, right? It just means that my hand in life is different. So you said you believe in Allah, right? So like Allah made you the way that he made you, and he made me the way that he made me.
Right.
And I don't get to take credit for that.
No, but that only depends if you don't believe in that, though.
I believe something close enough to where,
Okay.
I mean, I think even scientifically, we can all acknowledge that each of us has a brain that we don't get to control. Each of us has an upbringing that we don't get to control.
Yeah.
So like we only really start exercising control in our life by the time we're like maybe like 17, 18, 15 if we're super lucky. But so does that kind of make sense? So I think that like people who are, yeah. So I mean, I've just learned that a lot of the stuff that people are impressed about when it comes to me, I actually can't take credit for. Right? Like I know it sounds kind of weird. Like so, I get to take credit for my actions, but whatever my IQ is, however loving my parents were, you know, my parents were also like financially very stable. So like they gave me opportunities that I don't get to take credit for. I was like failing out of college, but like when they sent me to India, they bought my ticket. Right? So whenever they supported me, like I had so much financial support, it's like it's apples and oranges. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second. Let's talk about the addict's mind for a second. So, not my viewers. So early on, when you were hitting people up for money, what your mind said was not for my viewers, right?
Huh?
So you talked about a period of time when you started borrowing money, right?
Yep. Yep.
And so your mind is, we need money.
Yep.
Let's borrow it.
Right.
And then your mind said, but not from my viewers for some time. Eventually it changed. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So here's how you know whether you have an addict's mind or not. Is that your mind will give you some kind of justification, but at the end of the day, you're still borrowing money. Right. Does that make sense? So the hallmark of the addict's mind is it gives you a justification, but no matter what the justification is, you're still going to gamble. So at the beginning, you said, I'm going to use my own money. I'm not going to borrow anything else. But what is your mind telling you to do? It's giving you permission. It's saying, go gamble, Sliker. It's okay. As long as we don't cross this line, so we're over here. Let's say here's the gambling threshold, okay? And then this is the line that we're not going to cross. This is other people. And then what happens is you borrow money from them, and then this changes to not my viewers. I don't know if this kind of makes sense. But your mind will always let you gamble, but it'll give some kind of artificial rules. But at the end of the day, it's saying, okay, like we've got $10,000 in the bank. Oh, we've got 50, you had 50K. And so what does your mind tell you? Your mind tells you, okay, we can bet a little bit, right? Even in the dream, even when you get to control things, it says we can afford to spend $7. So no matter what happens, okay, $7, gamble. Not my viewers, gamble. And when it becomes your viewers, let's make personal videos. Gamble. So do you see that no matter what your mind, whatever happens in your mind comes up with some kinds of thoughts, but the behavior is always the same.
Yeah.
All roads lead to this. And I see this a lot. Maybe I'll use an example because I don't think I'm explaining this the best. But I see this a lot with people who smoke pot.
Okay.
And when people use marijuana, they say, hey, it's not addictive, right? That means I can use every day. Or is it like I don't get high every day? That means it's okay. Their mind will move into whatever position it needs to make it okay to use today. Today, it's okay. In the future, I won't worry about it. In the future, this is the line. But like today, like it'll give you whatever information to allow your brain to engage in whatever the addiction is. This is the hallmark of the addict's mind.
Okay.
When your
Okay.
mind starts twisting and turning, and the answer is always the same, today is okay, but tomorrow will be different.
Yeah, I see. Yep. True.
Right? So if your mind starts doing that, the answer is always good. You can provide whatever justification. This thing will change. This column will change every single day.
Yep.
But the end result will always be the same. Oh,
Yep.
as long as my parents don't know, it's okay. As long as I limit it, it's okay. As long as this happens, as long as blah, 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 as long as this person doesn't know, as long as I don't do this, I'm going to, and the thing is the what is acceptable and what is unacceptable keeps moving. Right? That's what happens. As you said one day, as long as I don't take it from my viewers, it's okay. And then
On to another. Yep. Oh.
it's okay.
Yeah.
But as long as something like that happens, like that, this is the hallmark of the addict's mind, is that if your mind is telling you, if there's a part of you that knows that this is a bad idea, but then your mind says, it's okay if we use this kind of logic, it makes it okay today. That's the addict's mind. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So
So the end goal is just gamble, no matter what.
exactly. Right? So and let me just go ahead and move this over here. And then I'm gonna stop screen sharing with you, and we're gonna go back to this. So you kind of asked, can you ever move on? So what I would say, if I was teaching a class, so I don't know specifically about you. I think that's something that it's worthwhile to talk to a therapist or psychologist and work through what your specific limits are. But I would say that your brain is vulnerable to this, probably for a better part of a lot of your life, right?
Wait, sorry, vulnerable. What does it mean? What does it mean for vulnerable?
So that
Immune?
means that your brain is always going to have that one-way ticket to feeling good.
Okay. Okay.
That I don't think is going to change.
Okay.
But the key thing is that there are certain things that you can do there's certain
Prevent it.
armor that you can wear to protect you against that vulnerability. So this is things like emotional awareness,
Like
confidence. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I've had sometimes like I would be like thinking like, oh, imagine like I'd watch a tennis game and be like, damn, this game, what was the odds? He actually lost. Oh my God, that would have been crazy. Imagine I went for it. But then I'd think and be like, yeah, but if I done that, what are the bad things that's gonna happen? I'm no matter what, I'm gonna lose the money. Regardless, I'm gonna lose the money. Even if I win big, I'll start losing money. And what happens if I lose the money? I'm gonna go back to the same thing that happened in the past. I ruin my life again.
Very
know?
good. So what's changed there? So let's say 10 years ago, you did not think about the consequences. Your brain
Right.
just saw the upside. And now if we literally look at your thoughts, you have new thoughts in your head, which are no matter what, this is going to end in shambles.
Yeah.
Right? This is not going to work out the way that my mind tells me. But that's that vulnerable to fun. That's that kid who punched the fire alarm. That's that kid who's like, fuck it, let's go. Right? So that part is always going to be there in some form. So it can get better. So there's evidence that shows that, some people do grow out of addictions for sure. But the reason that I'm saying that, the reason I'm not emphasizing that is because every person who's listening to this may have an addict's mind. And they're going to listen to this, and Dr. K says, oh, hey, I can grow out of this addiction. Which means, what is their addict's mind going to do? If Dr. K says that they can grow out of the addiction, what are they going to do, Sliker?
Not?
They're going to start gambling.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. I'm not. So
Right?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
So you're going to like use it as an excuse. Hey, Dr. K said that I can grow out of this.
Yeah.
That means it's okay, right? It's okay today. I can grow out of it. I've probably grown out of it now. Let's go, Sliker. Come on. Just a tenner. Cheeky tenner. Let's go.
That's what I was actually wondering though about the casinos and stuff. Like, I've been invited to them.
Of
And then
course you have,
sometimes-
bro.
No, and sometimes I'm like, what's the problem if I do go? But do you think it's similar? Could I get caught up? Because I want to give you an
Yes.
example. I did a sponsor for a casino slot. It was boring. Never touched it again. I did the slots, all that. It was boring. Jump back into sports. What I say to other people, I say that it's like a weed. Now I'm gonna be 100% wrong because obviously but my thought is like a guy that smokes weed is addicted to weed, but if he tries heroin, he's not gonna be addicted to heroin.
That's true. So, and I would say that this is where like this is why it's kind of like an individual discussion. So we do know that people will sometimes have drugs of choice. Okay? So what that sort of means is that you have a certain vulnerability in your brain. You have a certain genetics that makes you prone to be addicted to, let's say, heroin, but not Adderall or not marijuana or not alcohol. So we know that that's absolutely there. I would still say, though, that the question, I think, is not about whether you can get away with it or not. I think because that's what the addict's mind says, and you may be able to. It's very individual. But my question is, what's the life that you want to live?
No,
do you want to take the chance?
True. No, you're actually 100% right on that.
Right? It's not about whether you can get away with it. It's like, what do you want your life to be?
Why should I even test myself doing it?
Exactly.
You know? No, it's true.
Right? And so you say, can you move on? I mean, I would say that in a lot of ways you have. But this is the thing to remember, is this is a big mistake that a lot of people make once they get sober. They think, I am sober.
Confidence.
It's the circumstances that you have right now that let you be sober. If you change the circumstances, there's a decent chance you'll relapse. See, sobriety is environmental. This is something that we understand very well from the research. This is why we send people to Alcoholics Anonymous. Even psychotherapy sometimes is not enough. You need peer support. You need all kinds of other things. So like, I used to work at a drug rehab. So people would come for 30 days and they would be sober because they're in a fucking drug rehab. Right. I've been sober for 30 days. The reason you've been sober it's been easy because you're not trapped. I mean, you can walk out anytime you want to, but like you basically don't have access to anything. But once you start hanging out with the same people, once you start, going back to the stress of like your job or your marriage or whatever, once the environment changes, the vulnerability will arise again. And so can you move on? I mean, I would say it's possible that you would move on, but I think for a lot of people who struggle with addiction, it's not worth it to try, has been my experience with the majority of my patients. Right? This is just the way that your life is. And you're trading one life for another life. And it's about choosing which life you want. Do you want a life of high highs and low lows? Because let's be honest, the life that you had was pretty fucking epic in a lot of ways. This is something we don't say enough. Everyone talks about addiction like it's a bad thing, and I think on balance, it's a bad thing, but oh my God, while it's good, it's so good. An ordinary life cannot compete. That feeling of winning $6,000, like you're going to get some check in your bank account for 400 quid because you worked a hard week. Like that can feel good and manly in some ways, but to make $6,000 or quid or pounds or whatever, like in 6 seconds you're going to lose that part of your life. You just can't win like that.
Yep. You got to work for it. That's my brain is like, you're working for that money. You're just throwing it away no matter what, regardless, Yeah.
So, and then this is the other thing, right? So if we look at the addict's mind, when you gamble, you weren't going to lose. You were going to win. And so what does that tell? All roads lead to one place. It's okay to do it today.
Yep.
You're going to win. Oh, last time it was fucking rigged. She threw or he threw in the sports match. This time it's going to be different. End conclusion, gamble. End conclusion, gamble. And whatever it's going to come up with, it's going to be so creative.
Yep.
You're an artist, Sliker. Your mind is Leonardo da Vinci of coming up with excuses to let you gamble.
No, you're not wrong, unfortunately, in a bad way, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is the problem with addiction, is that the power of your mind is turned against you. Yeah. This is why it's so hard to overcome. Because you're not fighting the addiction. What you're really fighting is yourself. It's like one of these, I don't know, these like animes or video games or whatever, where you've got some parasite in your head that takes control of you.
Yeah.
And this is what a lot of people don't understand. People think, oh, I'm addicted, I'm stupid. You're not stupid. The problem is you're fucking brilliant. The problem is that you're gifted. And the problem is that mind is being turned against you.
Well, very weak. Very weak. I feel like it. Like I'm very weak, not able to control myself at those particular points.
That you are weak in, 100%. So you have a powerful mind, but your ability to control it is weak.
Yeah.
So this is like, I'm going to go for a walk, And on the other end of the leash, I'm going to have a grizzly bear.
Right.
This is what it's like to be addicted. And then you're not taking the grizzly bear for a walk. The grizzly bear's fucking taking you for a walk.
Right.
And the goal is to turn the grizzly bear into like a mouse, right? For you to get so big, and we can talk about how to do that. For you to train yourself, and that's where the emotional awareness comes in and the confidence comes in. Because the more confident you become and the more aware you become of your internal emotional state, that's how we make the grizzly bear smaller, and that's how we make you stronger. And so as you develop confidence in yourself, and there are other tools that we can use. So one of my favorites is Vairagya, which means detachment. Okay, I'll explain.
It's a Viagra.
Yeah, no, not Viagra. That's another favorite tool, but for a different. Vairagya is detachment. So that means that for you to be able to take a step back and say, you know what, I don't actually want this joy. It's okay for me to not have this joy. It's okay for me to have a life that is less than perfect. I can learn to be content with what I have. I've got a nice cup of tea and I can drink this, and the joy and pleasure from this is enough. Yes, there's a lot more fun over there. And this happens to me like almost every day. There's a part of me, you play any MOBAs, League of Legends or Dota or anything?
Yep, unfortunately. Yep,
so
League of Legends.
I play Dota. And almost every day I have this desire to play Dota.
Right.
And one day I'll crack and I'll play some Dota. And the thing is, I fucking suck, right? Because like unless you practice, you're bad. And I'm like, I'm tired of being bad. Like I don't want to lose. Like I want to win. Yep. And then I think to myself, okay, like now I'm going to get serious. I'm going to start like practicing. Like I'm going to like get good at this game. And then because I really want that, then I take a step back and I ask myself, is this really what I want? Do I want to spend like I could write a book or I can get good at Dota 2. It's the same amount of effort, honestly. You like literally write a book or I could get good at Dota 2. And so we have to learn to detach. We have to learn to take a step back from, okay, this joy in life is like not mine. Like it's okay. Let me like learn to be content with what I have. Because if you really stop and think about it, your joy in life is actually can be pretty high. You won't get that same level of dopamine, but you can enjoy taking a piss, man. Like one of the most blissful activities is if you've been like, you've been in a car for a while and you're waiting for the bathroom and like, oh my God, just taking a piss.
Yeah, true.
Right? There's joy everywhere in life. We just don't know how to look for it. We don't need any of that stuff. So can you move on? I think the answer is maybe. Can you get away with gambling in a casino? Maybe. I think the question is, what kind of life do you want to live and do you want to risk it? Is it worth it?
Right. Yeah.
That's not a question I can answer for you.
Yeah, of course I'm the one that has to answer that. And like, no, you're right, because like I used to think of that as well a lot. Like when I was streaming, I was like, what? I didn't think of it like that. During the times when I was streaming, I was messaging a girl thinking of getting married to her but I didn't think of my minus. I was just thinking, no, I'm gonna marry you, But to realize it when you're actually rock bottom, you actually come to realize, what happened, what you did, and who it may have affected. Because I didn't think of when it was me, when I was streaming and I was doing it, I was like, suicidal thoughts and I want to do suicide. But I didn't really think of the people that I took money from, because they could have had suicidal thoughts from what I was doing to them. That all came in when I, was actually started working, and when I got caught, and it really started making me realize more and more.
So let's talk about this. So this is another thing. So there's 6 neuroscientists. This is kind of my theory, but in my opinion, there are 6 neuroscientific deficits in people who have addictions. You've stumbled on a second one, which is a lack of empathy. So our brain is not wired. It's not your fault, right? This is very important to understand, because empathy is a skill just like anything else. It's taught to people.
Okay.
So if you have parents that were very empathic, and it sounds like your parents were not very empathic, right? It sounds like your parents, we haven't talked too much about it, but I would guess that there were times when you were young when you wanted something and your dad was basically like, no. He didn't give a shit what you wanted. He didn't think about you. There's right and there's wrong. If you do right, you're okay. I don't give a shit about your opinion and your feelings, bruh. Like,
Yeah.
So when we're raised with strict parents like that, they don't teach us empathy. Our parents, your dad wasn't like, oh, Sliker, beta, I know you want to do this, and beta, I love you so much, but we cannot, beta. He's like, pop.
Yeah. Bamboo stick, not pot. I would be lucky with that. It was a bamboo stick.
Right? You fucking read your hour. I don't care that you have ADHD. I don't care that your mind literally cannot concentrate. I don't care about any of that. When I tell you to do something, you fucking do it. I don't care about your feelings. I don't care about what you think. I don't care about anything that's going on inside you. Your internal environment is completely useless to me. And when you grow up in a household like that, how are you supposed to learn as a 7-year-old child to think about other people? What you're taught is that there's right and there's wrong. Haram or halal, right? Two things.
Yeah.
Right and wrong. We don't care about your feelings. And when you're raised like that, I'm not trying to be anti-Muslim. My parents were like that, and Hindus are like that, Christians are like that. It's different parents. It's not religion specific. Which is sad, but anyway, so I think that's like another thing where you don't know how to think about other people, and that's not your fault, but you can start, right? You can start by sort of thinking a little bit about, okay, how does this person feel? Like, what will this, and you can listen to other people. And this is where we get to your question. You asked the question about women. Would a woman be okay with what? You asked some question about women? Because it sounds
like, would they be okay with my past?
Yeah, so...
You know, like, how awkward would that be? Oh, I scammed 300K. Ew. You know, that's the first...
So I know it sounds kind of weird, but, like, would a woman be okay? I have no idea. Understand that women, just like men, are individuals. And some will be okay with it, and some will not be okay with it. And I would bet money that...
Okay.
More of them will be, I don't know, I don't even know, I'm not saying 51%, but I think as compared to you not having a gambling problem, I think more humans would be okay with that.
Yeah.
Right? But I think this is the cool thing is that I think that, huh?
No, how?
What do you mean?
How would they be okay with it, though?
How would anyone be okay with it?
Yeah, but you said 51%.
No, so I'm not saying that 51, I don't know what the percentage is.
Oh,
but
okay,
I'm saying if you take two human beings, one who has a gambling addiction and one who doesn't have a gambling addiction, I think more people would be easily accepting of the person with no addiction.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Right? No, I did a bad job explaining it. So I'm with you that it's another uphill battle that you have to fight or climb. And at the same time, I think that, like, my experience working with people who are addicted is that, like, love is, like, pretty fucking powerful, man. And I think the main thing is that, you know, you kind of say that you've grown from it. And, like, I have seen so many healthy relationships come out of recovery from addiction. Because when you're addicted to something, you have to learn about yourself in a way that the average person doesn't. You have to work so hard to be normal. And that work ethic, that self-understanding actually makes you better at relationships.
Yeah.
So if you've never been addicted, this internal emotional awareness, this ego, all this kind of crap, like, you've done a lot of soul searching, Sliker. You kind of get what I'm saying? You're still in the process. But even simple shit, like, so many women will complain because their boyfriends don't make their fucking bed and do their fucking laundry and are not, like, because they've got mama, right?
Right.
And especially if is your mom Iraqi too?
Yep, goddamn right.
So, like, in us fucking Middle East, South Asian, like, that's the worst.
Yeah.
Like, women in the audience know what I'm talking about. If you date an Indian boy or Pakistani boy or, like, Iraqi boy, like, you know, their mamas will wipe their ass when they're 45.
When I was like 15, my mom used to dry me. Wait, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
That's our culture. We infantilize.
10.
We infantilize our kids in our cultures, right? Oh my God, Sliker is such a good boy, such a great boy. Like, don't ever leave, Sliker. Like, don't. You're worried about women not accepting you because you have a gambling addiction. You need to worry more about what your mom is going to do with your girlfriend and vice versa.
Oh my days. Oh, actually, she did accept it, to be honest. I was shocked. I was like, my mom got me hating her. Yeah, very. Well, Yeah, no, you're right though.
So I think you give people a chance, right? And I think you recognize that. I mean, I'm not saying that your life would be better if you didn't have a. I mean, I think if you didn't have a gambling addiction, I think you can easily say that your life would have been better. But I think that you've got to also understand that the way that you're growing out of this, I think will make you a healthier partner for a relationship. And some people are
Facts.
willing to see that, and some people aren't, and that's
No.
okay. I've seen enough people who are married to and have healthy relationships with recovering addicts to where I wouldn't. I mean, is it a disadvantage? Yes, but I don't think it's insurmountable.
I feel like it was like I paid less attention to her. And paid more, obviously more attention to gambling. Like I would even like times where it's important, I wouldn't even buy her stuff, spend it on myself and go all in on a game.
Yeah,
You
so
know?
I think if you want to have a good girlfriend, just don't be a shitty boyfriend,
Right? No, facts, yeah.
right?
And yeah,
So
true.
I wouldn't worry. I mean, like it's a disadvantage, and people will judge you for it, Slicker. They will, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wish that weren't the
And and
case, but
and that's why I say I move on and I look at my past, and if anyone tries to attack it with me, I'm like, you know what? That ain't me anymore, so I'm gonna smile at that. It was a joke. It was a joke of a past. Does that make any sense?
yeah, I think that's your way of developing a narrative around it, right? Like you disrespect someone else disrespects the person you used to be, and you disrespect the person you used to be. That's not even unhealthy.
Oh,
That person was
and
a joke, and I'm no longer going to be that person.
yeah,
That
and
sounds inspirational to me.
I even make jokes about it. Like even for my tweet, I made a joke. Now you tell me if that's okay or good. Should I send it to you, or do you wanna like? Should I just explain it?
Explain it.
I can. I'll explain it. So I went to London, saw a Lamborghini, took a picture in front of it, and I tweet out saying, "Guys, I just won big in sports betting, and like thank you for everyone who's been there for me as a joke, And people were believing it, but I put like hashtag saying like this is sarcasm and stuff. That's what I want to do. I want to like look at it and just be like, you know what? Just laugh at. I think that is a way for me to move forward.
It's
Not take gambling too serious and just be like, it'll be like it's a joke.
so I think that seems consistent with who you are, right? That's the kid. That's the way that the kid who punches the fire alarm is going to
But,
grow out of this.
but
And at the same time, Slicker, I think you've got to understand that for the people who you scammed money from, for you to be joking about it, it's going to hurt. It's not going to be received the best from some people. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's not my place to judge right or wrong.
I
I'm
understand
saying,
that. True, true,
right?
true.
So,
And I'd
so
never want to disrespect them. I'd never want to disrespect them. It's just I know the audience that's out there. Like if they message, I have reached out to a lot of them, and just checked up on them, hope they're okay and stuff like that. And they kind of some of them know I'm kind of like on streaming and stuff like that. And then of course, if anyone is offended, like if Ludwig or any of those people said like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm sorry."
yeah.
Like,
So,
yo, I
and
apologize.
I think you've got to
No.
figure out what's right for you. But I think that it's very common for human beings to use humor to overcome hardship.
Okay. Yeah, there you
Right?
go.
There's even some interesting like papers about Jewish people, and hopefully I'm not getting canceled here. This is not disrespectful, hopefully, but the Jewish people are very famous. Like even Jewish comedians will talk about their predisposition towards humor, and it's because they've gone through so much hardship that it's almost become culturally a part of the culture to be funny. And if that offends anyone, I apologize. But like that's what we just sort of know is that when cultures and families and stuff like that, when human beings go through difficulty, we laugh. And that's one of the ways that we move past it.
But it is wrong. It is wrong. It is. Yeah. No.
That's like I said, that's for you to decide. I'm not saying that it's right
It's
or
because
wrong.
like no matter what, I will never be able to escape from it. It's gonna be there for the rest of my life.
And
So that's why I say like for myself, I could use that and just show that like
sure.
every time I tweet, oh yo that begging guy or that scumming guy. So all I can say is that I'm gonna have to start like showing that there's no whatever you say ain't gonna hurt me in a way. But yeah, no.
So I think there's a couple things there. So one is that like I think whatever you say ain't gonna hurt me is very like I don't think it's bad, but
Okay.
I also think like it's okay for things to hurt you. Being hurt is not the end of the world. Right? Being able to
Okay.
handle the hurt, being able to
But
process the hurt.
it lacks with confidence.
What?
For
Be,
what was that?
what lacks confidence?
Myself, I like with confidence when I'm like, okay, I'm scared to tweet. I'm scared to say something. I'm scared to do this and that. I'm gonna get this response. Goes to, I show these guys like, okay, you go try ahead and attack me with it, but I'm not gonna. But any of the people that are scammed, of course, like again, like I will not want to disrespect them.
Yeah, yeah. So I see what you're saying about using humor to kind of build up your confidence, but I would say that there's even a level past that, which is like, I don't know if this makes sense, but to be confident in yourself as a flawed person to where you don't need to flex.
Okay, no, that's a man.
Right?
Right,
So you
right.
want to know, you asked me a question, what do I think a man is? I think a
Yeah.
man is someone who doesn't need to flex,
Okay.
which is interesting because most of the alpha males out there are doing the exact opposite.
Yep. 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 True.
And maybe I'm wrong, right? So this is just my opinion. You asked me someone who doesn't need to flex, right? You're flawed. You're not better or worse than any other human being. You can be better at some stuff and worse at some stuff. That's all fine. But just someone who doesn't need to flex. And for the record, I mean, I don't think that that's just a man. I think that's all human beings.
Right. Okay. Yep. Yep.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
But I think when it comes to like healthy masculinity, like I think a big part of unhealthy masculinity is when we use. See, healthy masculinity should come from like a place of stability or tranquility, not a place of, how can I say this? Not a lack or something that's missing. So if I lack confidence in myself and then if I flex to show off and stuff like that,
Right.
that I don't
Okay.
I think is healthy. It's whatever is stable and tranquil within you that's where masculinity should really come from.
Okay. Yeah.
So if masculinity is trying to solve some deficiency about yourself, like if I feel like I'm not attractive or if I feel like I'm a loser and then I'm going to become an alpha because I'm no longer a loser, I don't think that that's healthy. It can be healthy. It can be a stage of healthiness. So it can be one
Right.
step forward now that I think about it. But
Especially like if you do get hate though, I feel like, like for me, it's true what you're saying because like for me, I actually want to do the only person I actually want to impress right now is myself. I want to impress myself. I want to improve myself, you know? And of course, to be honest, even my family and stuff. But that's gonna be hard. But for my right now, I'd want to improve myself and impress myself, and trust myself.
yeah,
So
so that I think is beautiful. I mean, I think the goal here should not be, I think the goal is you should become someone that you can be proud of.
yeah, true,
It's
true,
not
true.
to be proud of yourself. How do I develop confidence? How do I develop pride? That's the wrong question. Become someone that pride is natural, that you don't have to try. Everyone's asking you, how do I become confident? Just be the person who is confident, right? So think about treating yourself with respect. That means being careful about what you put into your body. That means being careful about how you take care of yourself. It means prioritizing yourself, valuing yourself. That's where confidence comes from.
Yeah,
Here we are like going externally and trying to say, okay, if I do these 5 things, I will develop confidence. But internally, like you're not worth it yet. So start to prioritize yourself. This is beautiful.
yeah, yeah. It's still like I feel like it's I don't want it to crawl back. I don't want it to crawl back into my life. Like that's one scary thing because I know 100% one little touch and I'll be back into it. I got offered a contract of casino slots. No, CS:GO gambling. So what not what originated my gambling because that was esports. They offered me case openings. You just click open cases and stuff like that. And it was going to be a good amount because I'm actually I am jobless right now. So, I just basically do streaming entertainment. I'm not gonna lie, side money. I mean, everyone loves that, you know. And and when they offered me, I was like, wow, this could, keep me get me back to where I was. But what is the outcome? Now, for my mind, right now is like I see dirty money. And when I was streaming, when I used to make good amount of money, I used to be like, I want to kill myself if I ever drop back to like the minimum wage. It's not nice to say or use the word or play around with the word kill yourself, but like I used to be like I don't want to live anymore if I'm gonna go back to a normal job. What happened with everything when it all came out? That's where I said I was grateful. I was grateful to work a normal job and make an actual good amount. I didn't really think of money. I just thought of like, improving, improving as a person, being grateful, thankful, having my parents by my side, having another chance in life, you know?
That's beautiful. And
I know
I
not a lot of people get that, and that's also another thing where I should be very extremely grateful is that there is not XQC or Ludwig for a lot of other gambling addicts out there, you know? And I feel like they're not to be hated because I also think and I feel for them because I know there is a lot of people that go crazy for this and get angry and all that stuff and I don't know, you know. Like when I went to therapy, I thought it was just bullshit. Honest to God, I thought it was bullshit when I went in
how so?
until because I was like, how can you change me when I need to change me? What are you going to do? Give me a drug? Insert something inside of me and make me a different person? No. But when I went, I got to speak to someone, not like the internet. Oh, you're a piece of shit. Those are not the people I should be speaking to at that point. The therapist, oh hey, it was someone I could feel comfortable to come out with and explain it. And then she was like, a friend, and she gave me a paper. And she said, "What are the fun things you like about gambling?" Gave her a few. What are the bad things about gambling? Gave her a lot. What do you do when you not gamble? What do you do? It was a lot, and that went inside my head, and that's where I explained it to. I was like, oh okay, you know this really this is the reason why I shouldn't do it, and this is the reason why what is the point in doing it, you know? Because I can actually smile now. I know I shouldn't be, but I can't keep saying that. I'm just gonna be like I can actually smile now, I can actually hopefully see a future. I don't know. To be honest, that's bullshit. I still don't see, a future because like that is me, but until I get a woman or something, maybe I can. And until I pay the remaining off, then I can have a future, you know?
Yeah, I think that sounds super reasonable to me, man. Like I think you're on your journey, and I think it's appropriate for you to not see a future, but also to acknowledge that just because you can't see it now doesn't mean that it won't come.
Right.
Right. So this is the other tricky thing about a future is like whether you can see it or not, there's only one direction to move in life, which is forward.
Yeah. True.
So everyone's talking about like, I think this is a big problem we have in society where everyone's like, okay, I'm trying to build towards this future. What's your 10-year plan? What's your 20-year plan? Like, I mean, no one can fucking see the future. Everyone's so caught up in 10 or 20-year plans. Instead, what we should be caught up in is like, what's my like today plan? What's my 5 minutes from now plan? Like, what am I going to put into my body today?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it going to be like a banana or is it going to be a cookie? And we can make, and this is the interesting thing is that a future is not built up when you plan for the future. A future is built up through actions today. That's the only way that future is built. And so I think you're on your journey. It sounds good where you are. It sounds like you have
A blessing, trust me, a blessing.
yeah.
100% a blessing. I'm even able to fucking click the live button. Like have even when I started, like when I went live, I was like, I'm gonna expect 200 viewers or less. Get to 300, 400. I'm like, I'm blessed, grateful, more and more. And I feel like, through mistakes could come good things. In the worst way, of course, that's not nice, and but like everyone does mistakes. No one's perfect. That's what I believe. You see all these people out there, like even in the streaming world, they're like, yo, that's where you was mentioning about ego. You think you're all lit. You
Mm-hmm.
think you're special, and you think I will never be like that guy because I used to do that. I used to see gamblers, even though I was gambling, I was like, look at this idiot. Imagine, oh, why would you do that, bro? I would even be like to some streamers, like, why would you spend your money like that? Why are you being an idiot? You're a streamer, you have a future. Bang, that came out to be me. That came out to be me, and you know,
The tricky thing there is it's when we believe we have a future. It's when we're assured that we have a future. It's when the future is guaranteed that we actually make the worst choices.
yeah,
Oh, because I have a future. It's guaranteed. I can afford to fuck around. I can afford to do this. I can afford to do this because, oh, like the future is bright. So I think we get scammed by the future all the time. Like,
yeah. I don't know. I try and I won't ever forget for what I did though. I won't.
Good.
Like it's yeah, like and I shouldn't forget for what I did in especially to the people and I'm always with of course these people I'll always look up to, you know. But I don't know. I don't know. For myself, I don't see. I don't know. It's so awkward when I see it. Like as in, I do speak to quite a few women, and that was the most awkward thing when she said that to me. She was like, "I do know what you did in the past," and I was like, "Yep, I cut off." Well, I don't know where to go with that leading conversation. I don't know how you. Yeah, that is me. And what you're gonna do by it? You can't say that. I don't
Yeah.
know.
So would you like some help with that?
Please,
Okay. So now let's get
women,
concrete.
sure.
Okay. So, I mean, I think when someone acknowledges it, like you can say, I mean, so there are a couple different moves here. So one move is to be humorous, right? You can say, well, like, honestly, that's great because you save me the trouble of like, being who I am, I never know when to tell someone. Because it's fucking awkward, right?
Right, right, right.
Hi, my name is Sliker. I'm a gambling addict. Do you tell people on the first date? Do you tell people on the second date? Do you tell, like, when do you break the news? So, you can just kind of joke about it. You can say, like, look, I'm glad it saves me the trouble of telling you. Laugh it off.
Right. Right.
Also, I think sends the right kind of energy. That's one thought. I think another thing that you can do is just kind of own it, right? You can say, like, yeah, that was a really dark period of my life, and, like, I'm really trying to move on, and I made some progress, and just kind of own it, right? And it's like something that I work on every day. Like,
yeah, but you don't know what they're thinking of. They're like, that's the thing. That's what comes into my thoughts. Like, oh, she knows about that. She's probably like, he might scam me.
No. But Sliker, you don't know what they're thinking either, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to be careful about your mind. So when you feel a lack of confidence, you will project that lack of confidence into the thoughts of others. I don't know what they're thinking, and you don't know what they're thinking. It's not your job to make them think a certain way. If you really want to have a relationship with another human being, you're not trying to. This is what's so fucked up, is that we're so manipulative for people's thoughts. If I say this, they'll think this. And if I say this, they'll think this. We're sitting there trying to control people's thoughts all the time. So we shape what we say to control their thinking about us. It's manipulative. Instead, speak your truth and let them judge. It's their right to judge. Right? And if people want to judge you ill for it, that's not someone that you want a relationship with anyway. Yeah. Why are you going to go chasing them down? And that's their choice, 100%. Right? They have every right to not want to be your friend.
100%. 100%.
So just let that go. You're walking your journey, and you're going to represent yourself as authentically and positively as possible, and let people judge you the way that they're going to judge you.
It's all right though. My mom said that I'm gonna be getting married to my cousin soon, so that's all right. I'm joking. No, I'm joking. Wait, why are you not surprised? I was actually joking. No.
Yeah.
Nah, that's.
I was internally. I was debating whether I wanted to joke back with you about who's gonna get you ready for your wedding night, and is your mom gonna be there and towel you off after, and like all
If I told you something, it would be even weird. Like, actually, I don't want to say it here. Actually, I don't want to say it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I keep ruining it because I say it's been. Alright, there are people in my family that are cousins, so maybe that's my outcome. Came like this.
Yeah, we're not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole, bro.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
I mean, that's a little bit more common in some cultures, and.
Sure. Is it coming in? You do apologize. You're Indian, correct?
Yeah.
Right. Is it coming in India?
I want to say no, but there's certainly like some kinds of restrictions and things like that. So like it's changed a lot now. But when my parents got married, they were of different castes. And so
like spells and stuff.
No. So in India, there's like a caste system. So there's like categories of people.
Right. Okay.
So there's like the priest caste, and then there's like the warrior caste, the merchant caste, and the laborer caste. And so you normally would marry within your caste, but the caste is pretty big.
Okay.
So like, my grandmother, like, for example, would not, back in my village, which has like 300 people, like, what would happen is we'd go like 1 or 2 towns over to find like a spouse. And so you're not marrying like within the family, but you also like want to be careful. You want to marry someone who, you have some relationship with, so you know that they're from a good family or bad family, and there's all this kind of stuff. But things are changing now.
Do you think it's wrong to do that? I'm not doing that. I swear I'm not into
do what?
cousin marriage.
I mean, I think genetically it's not a good idea.
You know, because like I feel like I have a power, and I'm not even joking with you. I actually believe I've got a power. I don't know. It's like I'm creative, not in. Okay, people gonna like. Yes, you're gonna say in the the scam way, but not just even in scam. Like even in games, Dr. K. Like it's I'm the brain is like 5D. I'm using.
But what does that have to do with marrying cousins?
Because my mom and dad are cousins.
Okay.
So like they created it, and does that mean I'm an inbred? No
I'm
way.
not gonna. So I don't know what you like. Okay, so look, here's what we know. Okay, let's
I can blame my
understand.
parents for my gambling addiction.
If you want to. So here's just what we know about genetics. Okay. So we have two kinds of genes. We have autosomal dominant, or we have dominant and recessive genes. Okay. The problem is that sometimes if you have a recessive gene and you've got two copies of it, you can get some kind of problem, usually. So the problem is that the closer you are genetically, like the greater the likelihood is that you'll get two recessive genes, and then you end up with some kind of
so you're basically giving information of me. I see.
But I mean, I think cousins are. I mean, we can map this out. It's been a little while since I took genetics. Let's understand what so you're 50% with your parents, right? And parents are 50% with each other, and then their kids share 50%. So, I mean, I think it's like maybe they share like 1/8 of their genetic material or something.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, it's still high. I wouldn't biologically, it's not the best bet. But I think the other thing we have to understand is that in these cultures where you do have like closer familiar marriages, there are all kinds of other societal pressures. So I think the cultures that do this kind of thing do it for a reason. Like generally speaking, when whole cultures are doing something, there's some kind of evolutionary advantage. But generally speaking, what we want to do is like mix our DNA as much as possible with like foreign people, because that's when you get positive dominant traits from everybody else.
Yeah. You don't need to worry. I'm not going to be doing this anyway.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
I'm not. Like, it's your life, bro, and you do what you want to do.
No. It's like that's not my type. Like to do stuff like that with my cousins. But yeah, man. I don't know, but it does make sense, a lot of what you said, Dr. Ken. I really do appreciate you. And a lot of the streamers do we need people like you, Like we don't have well, I'm not gonna label myself as a streamer, but a lot of the streamers, or even when I was a streamer, we needed people like you. It's just we were just so hypnotized to our chat. We would believe whatever they would say. We like, yep, you're right, I'm so sorry, yep, please, sorry. But then when we talk to you, we're like, listen to you more and don't listen to them.
Yeah, I mean,
also made me like, obviously I started learning that more after when I was working doing a normal job.
So I mean, Sliker, I honestly I appreciate that, and I think one thing that I want to highlight is that I can't do what I do without you. So this is what a lot of people miss, right? Is it's not me, it's us.
Right.
And like the reason we do interviews like this is because it's not even about streamers. It's like, bro, do you get how many people out there have gambling addictions?
Well, I know it, and even the people that, because I pretended a lot, yeah.
And the problem is that we don't, when people discover that they're addicts or whatever, like there's someone who's going to be 18, 19 who's watching this right now, and they're starting the path that you're on. Yep. And the problem is when you were 18 or 19, no one had done an interview like this. No one had talked to a gambling addict about what was your life like, what was your story like.
It's embarrassing.
Absolutely, right? And so who's taken, like, I mean, here we are talking about everything we're talking about your life. It hasn't been like sunshine and rainbows.
Right.
It's been like the worst parts of you and the parts of you that hurt other people and got you canceled and all this kind of shit. I mean, it takes balls to do that. But when you do this, other people hear it. It makes it it makes it more okay to have a problem. We all talk about destigmatizing mental illness and destigmatizing, right? I'm not saying you're mentally ill or not mentally ill. That's for you and your therapist to decide. What I'm saying is that as we struggle, we have to have these conversations. Because when we have these conversations, people realize, oh, maybe I have a problem. And if anyone out there is listening to this and is like, oh shit, this sounds like me, maybe you should go see a therapist, right? Go and get help. And we heard from you how helpful it was and how you thought it was bullshit at the beginning. Like, that's incredibly valuable too. There are times when I feel like therapy is bullshit, and I do therapy. There's times it is bullshit. We're pretending to do therapy instead of actually doing therapy, but that's a conversation for a different day. So thank you for coming on, and I appreciate your appreciation. I'll take it.
Yeah, no, it's a blessing. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. I was, you know, it was good meeting you as well in the Streamer Awards. Nice guy, I swear to God.
Likewise.
I was kind of drunk though that time.
Yeah.
But I do recall.
We talked for like less than 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, I think I was, you know, the most immature way to say this. I think I was dick riding you a lot, Dr. K.
I didn't perceive it that way. I mean, right. I think you were just expressing appreciation, which, like, that's not dick riding, bro. Like, that is one thing that needs to change, right? We can express appreciation. A dude can express another appreciation for another dude without it being dick riding.
True. True. So everyone calls me a dick rider for my idols, but yeah. Who's your father? Who's your role models, would you say?
Who are my role models?
You used to listen to Tupac back in the days.
I like Changes.
So you like the mainstream music?
Yeah, I ain't cool like you are, man. I'll be the first to admit it.
I'm not gonna say I'm cool, but I mean, do you what sort of are you into hip hop, or are you? Because you don't give me that vibe. Not to be rude, you just don't give me that vibe of hip hop. I can't see like, yo, first off, fuck the bitch, and you know, you look like the sort of guy that's like, you know, got that classical music on, you know.
I don't care for I mean, honestly, dude, I listen to a lot of instrumental music.
Yeah, okay.
But I also like video game music. Like I'm like
same 100%.
Yeah, so like I like you know, like, yeah, I listen to video
Witcher
game
3 music.
Huh?
Witcher 3?
I mean, I liked Witcher 3, but I usually when I listen to stuff, it's like it's all over the place. So I like a lot of Street Fighter 2 remixes.
Devil May Cry.
I haven't played Devil May Cry, but Final Fantasy.
I've never played that. Metal Gear Solid?
Yeah, I like some Metal Gear Solid stuff. There's a lot of really good music there. So I usually listen to music that I play, but then I also listen to a lot of like EDM kind of stuff recently.
EDM?
Yeah.
The heavy drug music.
Yeah. It's making me really wonder about doing drugs, and now I'm like wondering, like, should I go to like some festival in Europe and you know, try this stuff one day?
I'm here for you. I'm here for you. You can get in a call. I can help you out. You can explain it to me. I got you, Dr.
Yeah. K. So yeah, I mean, but I listen to a lot of stuff that has a little bit of a beat, but not a whole lot of words, and it helps me write and stuff.
Right.
But then I've also started to appreciate, silence too. Like, I like silence. Which I think fits with what your impression of me is, which is I'm not, you know, listening to hip hop very often and stuff like that. But, you know, it's interesting. I've started to discover a little bit more. I think also since like having kids and stuff, like, because I think they listen to music. And
how many kids?
I have 2 kids.
Yeah, man, that's something I wish I could have, you know, being a responsible father or something. That'd be nice, you know. I mean, but like, also this is another thing. Imagine I have kids. Daddy, what do you used to do? Nothing. Hey, Daddy, you scam this much? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I can't be a father like that.
Of course you can. Why not?
I don't know. That's not sort of father you would want. You don't want a kid to have a father like that. You know, a criminal. I see. No, I see what you're trying to do. Yeah.
I mean, so like, so look, no father is going to be perfect, right? And I mean, I think your kids may be better off than many other kids. So if you've got an active addiction while you're raising kids, that's certainly bad for the kids.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
There's no question about that. But I would say that if you're someone who's in recovery, like having a dad who knows what addiction is probably a pretty big advantage for your kids. To be able to teach them about, hey, like,
this is what happened to me, and make sure
yeah,
you
and
don't do
I
it.
am going to teach you and prepare for a world that is becoming more addictive, where
Yeah,
there are
yeah,
more designer drugs coming out, where video games
right.
are getting more addictive, gambling sites are becoming more accessible,
Mm,
where we are breeding strains of marijuana that have higher THC concentrations.
yep, yep.
Right, the world that your kids are growing in, like if we're talking about character creation here and having a dad who's a former addict, like that could help them a lot. I mean, shit, I was
Yeah.
addicted to video games, and I think it helps my kids a lot in terms of the way that I teach them about video games and technology. I mean, fuck, I like literally wrote a book about it, and like, you know, someone's chosen to publish it.
That's crazy.
And
Are you?
I wouldn't have been able to write that book unless I struggled myself with addiction. And my parents tried everything and they just didn't know what they were dealing with because technology is different. See, here's the thing you got to understand about it's hard for parents now. So it used to be that you had to worry about addiction when your kid hit teenage years. Right? That's when you're like you start talking to them about, oh, like alcohol is haram, beta. No alcohol, right? But now,
Right.
I mean, kids are getting addicted at 2 years old, 3 years old. You go to the grocery store, you just walk around, you'll see like half the kids in the grocery store are going to be sitting in the cart on their parents' phone.
Yep, yep, yep.
And I don't know. I mean, I would say, Sliker, I get what you're saying, that you would, what I'm hearing is that you actually feel like ashamed that your dad used to be a criminal.
What?
But I mean, so
Was
like
it a criminal?
if you had
Oh,
kids,
me. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah,
right.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
man, like I don't like, you know, that's fucking pathetic. Like to have a
Right,
dad who's
right.
a criminal. But I
Yep,
think
yep, yep.
you are who you are, and hopefully
And
you'll grow
I
out of
can
it.
do, the thing is, it's true because I could do what and prevent them from doing it. Like, I'm not gonna blame my dad. I'd never. My dad
Yeah,
was, the best father I could ever ask for.
and that's what
Um,
they're gonna think about you too.
yeah, and like, I could be like the one that will be money manager. Well, but I could be like money managing them. And wait, me money managing? I don't. Yeah,
Well,
man, I might have to call my sister or something to manage their money. But I mean, like, I could prevent them from doing what I did.
I mean, I would hope so. That's what we try to do as parents, right?
Yeah.
We try to help our children make different mistakes from the ones that we made.
No, yep, yep, facts. Because
So
like nowadays it's easy to access gambling. You don't even need verification. Well, do you think it's all right for gambling sites to be available, or do you think it should be illegal?
I think we use laws to try to band-aid a lot of more fundamental problems in our society. So like the approach I've taken, I don't know whether they should be legal or not legal. But I think that the basic problem that we have with gambling sites isn't whether they're legal or not legal. It's that we have not trained people to understand how their mind works. That's a far bigger problem, in my opinion.
Right.
Right? So every child should learn emotional awareness, empathy, understanding where your desires are coming from, what an addict's mind looks like.
Yeah. Nah.
And,
Yep, yep.
literally what changed with me, I was the same fucking kid who failed out of school and was 10 years later was teaching, not 10, maybe longer, but, was teaching at Harvard Medical School. Same kid. The only difference is someone taught me.
Crazy.
Only difference is someone taught me how my mind works.
How do you get into Harvard? And you used to like not
It took a long time.
Harvard's the best, right, in the world.
I think it
Or
depends
Oxford.
on what you're talking about, but I think there's a lot of places give Harvard a run for their money, for sure.
Right.
I thought it was awesome. I think it's a great place. It's a wonderful institution to learn at. I had a very positive experience. But is it the best? I don't know. I didn't go to other places, so I can't compare.
Yeah. That's crazy.
The difference is just understanding how your mind works.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're right. I skipped school, me. I'm not proud, but like I just didn't see myself in school. It was too hard. I did graphics design.
Yeah.
I did graphics design, and it was just, even when I went into like applying for the job, I mean, for university, she was like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I was like, "Why?" They're like, "Because getting a job out of this is not easy." I'm like, what the hell? Are you not trying to get me in or something?
Yeah, and I think that's the challenge, right? Is probably the reason you did graphics design is because it sounds like you had undertreated ADHD in school, and
Yeah, yeah,
you couldn't do school the way that normal kids can do school, neurotypical kids. That's not your fault,
yeah. Nah,
right?
yeah, nah.
I think
I don't know.
the only thing that's really getting in the way of you being a good father is you got to stop riding my dick, man. That's not going to get you kids.
Nah, nah. I mean, if I do have kids, I'll just make sure they like educate themselves on Tupac and stuff, at the age of
Yeah,
3.
great. I mean, I think he's a force for a reason. I mean, Tupac is who he is for a reason.
100%. 100%. I love him to bits. I swear to God. I don't even want to say that. But say if like for example, say if your kids became a pro, like was grinding a lot of games, would you be okay with that?
It would depend.
Okay.
So
It's
so
like
I think
nowadays you can see it's easy to make money off the internet and a living from the internet. But would you want them to be in that life? Because there's a lot of toxicity in that life.
yeah. So that's where like I don't accept that the life is fixed, right? So I think the way that you prepare someone to live that life determines whether they can handle the toxicity or not. So I
Right.
want them to do whatever they want to do, and I view my job as preparing them to be able to do it in the healthiest way possible.
Right.
So if they said, "Hey, I want to become a pro gamer," I would say, "Okay, fine, but we're not going to let you become a degenerate."
Right.
Right? So like if they were, so like you still have to wake up every day and you have to like eat healthy food and stuff like that. And the interesting thing is if you really want to be a pro gamer, and even I don't know about streamers, but I think what we also know is like taking care of your health and your mental wellness, like with streaming as well and pro gaming, actually correlates with better success. This idea of like a degenerate streamer or degenerate gamer, I think is like that's decreasing. So we found that when you support, we've had a sample size of about 400 now. So when we've worked with 400 streamers and helping them with their mental and like helping them with their motivation and kind of like eating healthy and sleeping on time and shit like that, that actually increases their like follower count, sub count, view count by 171%. Being a degenerate, the internet may love you for it, but long term, it's not a good strategy.
Not a good. Yep. True. True.
Anyway, any last thoughts or questions, Sliker, before we wrap up for the day?
No. The thing is, you know what it is? When you want to think and you really have that thing inside your head, you just can't remember it. But yeah, that's me. I have something always in my head, and I just can't remember it. I feel like whenever you ask me questions, I feel like I'm being challenged. It's like
Yeah.
your police asking me questions. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't remember. So
Yeah.
I'm panicking, rushing, so I
So
can't know.
that's okay. I'm sorry for making you feel that way, and I think that too is not your fault. That's something that actually. So this is important, Slicker. That happens a lot with kids with ADHD. So what happens when you have a kid with ADHD is when you're in a classroom and your teacher asks you a question, you haven't been paying attention, and you get punished for it.
Yeah,
So your brain tells you learn this lesson. This is really sad, actually, that getting asked a question means we're in danger.
yeah,
That's your response. It's beautiful that you're self-aware enough to recognize that. Very few people will discover that.
yeah. I've always noticed that it's fucking
It's scary.
when I started bed. Yeah.
Right? Getting called on is the most terrifying thing in the world. And here I am asking you questions. You're like, oh shit. And that's because it's baked in. When you were 6 years old and 7 years old in school, your teacher would call on you.
Yeah,
And then everyone in the classroom would laugh because you weren't paying attention, or you'd get punished, or the teacher would shake their head, or your parents would ask you questions and you wouldn't be paying attention, and then the bamboo.
yep. Life of ADHD.
Yep. It's tough,
I
man.
appreciate you though. I appreciate you, Dr.
Likewise.
K, man. Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you coming on today and sharing your story. I'm sorry that you've had such a rough go of it, but honestly, I'm optimistic for you, man. I have a feeling, I'm hopeful. I can't see the future, but I'm hopeful that in a year or two, you're going to be, I hope you'll be very happy with where you are, and hopefully you'll be in a relationship.
Yeah, no, maybe I'll get a dream, another $1 or something. Who knows what? Nah, nah, nah,
No,
nah,
but
nah.
seriously, give people the one piece of advice, if I can give that, is give people the chance to reject you. Don't do it for them.
Oh, I've been rejected a lot of times
Good.
so far. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it helps a lot, but yeah, I'll take that to know. A lot of things you said as well, definitely like it made a lot of sense, you know. I'm surprised. Don't really listen in class. It was a bit hard when you was writing that stuff down because it was like I was in class again. But you know, it eventually caught up to me and it made a lot of sense, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate you though. Thank you so much, Dr. K.
Likewise. Take care,
Love
my
you.
friend, and good luck with
See ya.
everything.
Thank you so much. Take it easy.
Take care, man.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, bye, bye.
All right. So we're going to talk about this for just a hot second before we wrap up for the day. So this is important. See, when we lose confidence, we save people the trouble of rejecting us by rejecting ourselves. We think to ourselves, oh, this person would never want to hang out with me. This person would never want to date me. So I'm not going to bother. Now, why do we do this? It's not because we're idiots. It's to protect ourselves, right? Because where did we learn that people reject us? Because people reject us. So we get stuck. It's really terrible. We get stuck because we've tried to connect with people and we get rejected. And then we feel bad about ourselves. And then we see this version of ourselves who is a reject. And once we start thinking of ourselves as a reject, we do the work for them. We're going to skip that step where they reject us. We're going to skip it because I'm a reject. It's fixed. So one of the biggest things that you can do for yourself, for your confidence, and for your relationships is to give people the chance to reject you. Share who you are. And will it hurt? Absolutely. But then we get stuck because we have a choice between a coin flip of them rejecting us or not rejecting us, or us taking the decision away from them and pre-rejecting ourselves all the time. So you have a less than 100% chance of rejection if you give someone else the option. But if you're running the show, the chance is going to be 100%. Pre-rejected. It's not a pre-approval for a loan. It's a pre-rejection for a relationship. And that pre-rejection is 100% because you're the one doing it. Really tricky. Now, I'm not saying it's easy because the other thing about rejecting ourselves is we're good at it. We're a little bit kinder, right? We give ourselves a pat on the back. Oh, you're a loser, but you do it with compassion towards yourself, hopefully. But when someone else does it, it hurts more, right? Because we opened ourselves up to being accepted and oh my God, it hurts. So be careful about that, right? Give other people the chance to accept or reject you, which is the scariest thing. I'm not saying it's easy. It requires a lot of fortitude. And the reason that we don't have the fortitude is because we've been rejected already and now we lack confidence in ourselves. So then the world becomes a dangerous place and then it's hard to give people the option. Y'all get this? So the other problem that we run into when we don't let people reject us is we become manipulative. And we create relationships that are doomed to fail. What do I mean by this? So, if I don't want to give someone the chance to reject me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide something, right? Oh yeah, that's not really me, or I'm not going to share this little tidbit because if I share this, they could reject me. They may like it, they may not like it. But then what happens is you create a relationship that's based on a lie. And then what happens is now you've got to cover this thing up and they can never find out. And you're playing this game that if I can force them or trick them into investing a lot into the relationship, when they eventually find out, there's so much in the relationship already that I'll be able to ride it out. Not a good strategy. Give them the choice to reject you. I know it's hard, but your relationship will actually be healthier. Instead, what's going to happen is you'll build something up for a while, and then they're going to feel betrayed. So now there is a possibility of rejection, and there is a guarantee of betrayal. So I know it's hard, but you got to give people the chance to reject you, because that's where respect comes from. Got that? It's hard. Yeah, so someone's, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky and Michael Scott. Beautiful. I think it's a beautiful quote, but what people don't add is that a missed shot hurts a lot more than a shot not taken. Right? The individual shot that you take when you get rejected hurts more than not taking the shot at all. The problem is that over time, getting rejected 50 times or not taking a shot 100 times, you're going to be worse off if you never take a chance. But in an individual moment to moment, it's harder to take a chance. That's why we don't do it. Right? So like if you kind of think about it, oh, I've never dated anyone and I'm 25 years old. How did we get in this situation? We got in this situation not because you're stupid or anything like that. We got in this situation because every opportunity you had, it would hurt more to take a chance than to not take a chance. And so 1 year went by, 2 years went by, 3 years went by, and now you find yourself having never taken a chance, or maybe you took a couple, got rejected, and now the 5 years and no relationship hurts more than any individual chance. This is the problem. But on any given day, it's very easy. It's the right move to say not today. It's the right move to say I don't want to take a chance. Don't get too personal. The only real failure is the failure to try. That's beautiful too. But that's not true. Right? I'm not trying to disagree with this person, but like, let's be honest. Trying and failing still hurts a fuck ton. I'm with you in sentiment. I think that's the right place to end up. Smile and wave. Like, I love these comments because you're right and we should get there. But let's acknowledge that the try and fail is also a failure and also hurts. And sometimes the weird thing is can hurt even more. Because what hurts more? Half-assing it and failing, or full-assing it and failing? I gave everything. I gave 100%. I gave 110%. I gave 1 year of my life, 5 years of my life. And to get rejected or fail then hurts way more. And since it hurts way more than half-assing it, we half-ass it. We half-ass it to protect ourselves from the hurt of full-assing it. And the real challenge there is that when we live a life like that, we've shot ourselves in the foot. Exactly what was said earlier. It's tricky. So when we're talking about expending effort, the thing to understand is it's the wrong move for the right strategy over time. But on any given day, it's easier to not do things. It's protective to not do things. It's protective to half-ass it. Because then when you fail, you've got some excuse, right? And if you've got an excuse, you don't have to feel bad about yourself. I tried my hardest and I didn't win. That means that there is a better human being than me on the planet. Versus, I half-assed it. And then if I don't lose, at least I have this refuge in my mind. If I had put forth 100% effort, then I could have won. And you can beat yourself up about that, but at least you didn't give 100% and lose. To give 100% and lose is the worst feeling in the world. Because that's when you really realize you've got good evidence that you're insufficient. It's not enough, even if you gave it your all. Luke is asking, don't you think that there are points where you should weigh your options, though, and not put all your eggs in one basket because then indirectly the rejection will hurt long term? I don't quite follow the question, but the answer is undoubtedly whatever you think. I'm serious. So I don't think it's like all your eggs in one basket. And yeah, I mean, you should be more nuanced about it for sure. It's kind of what I'm reading from the question. Yeah, half-assing is a protection mechanism. Yeah, that's the one that screwed my life so hard for so many years. Okay, what happens if I spend my entire life trying and failing? I want to do things, but I know I can't do them as well as other people or even I would like to. Great question. So this question, the answer is in the question itself. What happens if I spend my entire life? So already we've divorced ourselves from reality. We've entered the realm of hypothetical, and you've already said my entire life. This is what the mind does. We've got to be careful because you can't spend your whole life trying and failing. I mean, I guess theoretically you could, but that's not the actual situation. Second thing to understand, I don't know if that made sense, but I want to do things, but I know I can't do them. Hold on a second. How do you know that you can't do it? Well, I haven't done it before. I've tried before and I failed. I can't do something is different from I've tried consistently and I've failed in the past. Right? So I'm not saying that you can do anything that you put your mind to. I think that's ridiculous. But I think there's some wiggle room between trying your whole life and failing, which is like on the black end of the spectrum. And on the white end of the spectrum is you can put anything, you can do anything that you put your mind to. The problem in this scenario is that it's black and white. And I think both of them are wrong. The right question is the next time you try, what can you do to increase your chances of success? That's the question you should be asking. Any question that starts with what if I do this and this happens? You are trying to solve for a problem that literally does not exist. That's what makes it a hypothetical. Focus on the problem that does exist. Solve that one first, and then worry about tomorrow. Right? And there's a good reason that our brain thinks about hypothetical. I'm not saying ignore all hypotheticals. But when it comes to your life, think a little bit about where is the balance of your thinking. Do you spend more time trying to solve the hypothetical problems of tomorrow or more time trying to solve the problems of today? I think the real mistake that a lot of people make is they spend 51+% solving hypothetical problems. Or not even hypothetical problems. The other 40% is problems from the past that I can do nothing about. Man, that guy made fun of me in the locker room. I'm going to spend a couple days thinking about what the right comeback would have been. And I'm going to own them. If only I had done this. We spent all of our time solving hypothetical problems in the past and rewriting history, retconning our way to pride and confidence instead of solving the problems for today. And I don't say this to make fun of y'all. Bruh, I fucking did this too. I did it for 10 years. That's why I'm saying it. And then one day I was like, you know what? This is dumb. I'm an idiot. Why don't I focus on what I can focus on today? And that's the difference between success and failure for me. Is focus on the problems that you can solve instead of worrying about the ones that you can't. And I'm not saying ignore all those. You absolutely have to think about hypotheticals, but what can you do today? What can you do differently? Because that's the only thing you can do. And then when you start focusing on that, it may not work out right away. In fact, it's not going to work out right away. I mean, I was so stupid. I got rejected from 119 medical schools before I got accepted to one. Right? So I'm not saying that if you do this 3 times, the 4th time you will succeed. No, I'm telling you, you're going to get rejected a fuck ton. That's what's going to happen. I tried to date so many people. Catastrophic failure after catastrophic failure. It took a couple years. 120, not 190. 119. Right? So it's not close to 200. But it's that's what life is. And we get so caught up about what does work or what doesn't work or will it work or will it not work. And this is what, I don't know, something's going on. Something weird is going on in our brains with technology and how it's affecting the way that we see things. And, I don't know. It's weird. It's this is a problem that everyone faces nowadays. And I don't know why. I used to be the minority. Y'all get that? This kind of problem that I had, which is become every day for people. That's why the world is so hard. Something has become fundamentally harder. I used to be the outlier, and now it's the norm. So just take the plunge and adapt on the fly. It's a great place to start. Right? But even then, like the attitude, the plunge, why are you saying just give it a shot? Right? Think about it a little bit and then give it a shot. That's what I would say. And then iterate. Same thing. But do y'all see the attitude difference? Just take the plunge and adapt on the fly. If that's the way you need to conceptualize it, go for it. Another way to think about it is think about it a little bit and figure out what you're going to do within the next hour and give that a shot and learn from it. Same thing. So keep going full speed like David Goggins. If you're David Goggins, go for it. Right? So I ain't no David Goggins. So I'm going to say keep going, but take breaks, and you can reduce your speed from time to time. Give it 100% when you can, but if you can't, don't stop. That's the only thing. Take a break, fine, but don't stop. And then if y'all are as miraculous as David Goggins, then by all means, if you can go full speed ahead 100% of the time, I think it's great. Go for it. Okay, so Boopy the Fox is asking you, how does one ease themselves of the anxiety of just trying? This is another problem that has started to happen in our society. We try to ease ourselves of negative emotions. The real answer, if you really want to conquer just do it, it's that you have to accept that anxiety is going to happen. So I want y'all to think about this. Everyone nowadays, and this is happening increasingly more and more and more, we are outsourcing the control of our negative emotions to the external environment. So we are saying things like, this thing that this person said hurts my feelings, therefore they need to stop. And this can include everything from hate speech, which I think is pretty reasonable, to this person lost weight and looks better than I do and showed up to my party and is upstaging me in front of my friends. Therefore, they need to be uglier. So reasonable things and unreasonable things, in my opinion. But the one thing that's certainly happening is that we are outsourcing the responsibility of our emotional state to other people. In the worst cases, we also do this in psychiatry, where we will sometimes medicate problems away. Right? We're not going to fix this. We're going to numb it. Which can sometimes be useful, by the way, because you can't fix everything all the time. Sometimes the body and brain need numbness to get through a couple cycles of rotation of the earth so that you have enough energy to actually fix a problem. But I think the real answer, if you really want to control your life, just be able to accept negativity. Don't ease the anxiety. The anxiety is there. It's going to be there. It doesn't have to control me. What is anxiety? It's worry. It's uncomfortable up here. It's uncomfortable in here. Sometimes it can be dangerous, but almost never, right? There are cases where anxiety can be life-threatening, but usually it's just discomfort. And so imagine what your life is like. What would your life be like? Everyone's talking about, how do I fix my anxiety? What would your life be like if you didn't need to fix it? If you could act in spite of your anxiety? So that, I think, is the real. If you guys want like a magic bullet to transform your life, that's it. It's the ability to embrace or at least not run away from negative emotional experiences. If you can do that, everything changes. Okay. You started talking about the 6 neurological deficits in addicted people, but only covered one of them. What are the other 5? What a great question. I will do a lecture on that. Working on it, actually. But let me see if I can pull something for y'all in the short term. Let's see. I think this is the one. Ugh. Hold on. Chat. Yeah. Okay. Let me see if I got this. Okay, hold on. I don't know if this has it 100%, but we'll give it a shot. All right. So this is mindfulness training for substance use disorder clinical staff at McLean Hospital. Is this the right one? Okay, so this doesn't have it 100%, but this is sort of an answer, and I'll give you all a better answer, okay? So there's a couple of different, these are the deficits here on the outside. So the first thing that we talked about is increases awareness of internal state and cravings. So the problem with a lot of people who have addictions is that they don't know when they're craving something. The craving is there and builds and builds and builds, but you're blind to it. And since you're not aware of your craving until it becomes overwhelming, that's when you crack. Because if you realize that the craving is developing, then you can actually get rid of it while it's small. Okay, so a lack of awareness of your internal emotional state. Second problem that people have is the ability for them to regulate their negative emotions once they arise. So we know that people with addictions have a reduced cortical inhibition of the limbic system. So the limbic system is where we experience emotions, the amygdala, the hippocampus partially. And we know that our frontal lobes normally regulate that, right? So when I'm feeling emotional, let's say I get angry, there's a part of my brain that's like, okay, calm down, control yourself in this moment. That control, that ability to control yourself by yourself, what is the you and what is the yourself? What does it mean when you control yourself? That means that your frontal lobes, their capacity to control your limbic system. Okay? That's the second deficit. Second thing is that the ability to tolerate negativity is worse in people with addictions. So when I feel bad, do I need to fix the problem? And what we find in people with addictions is that their ability to tolerate feeling bad is worse than someone who's not suffering from an addiction. Now, this doesn't mean that they're weak, because we also know that the negative experience that they have is objectively worse than someone without an addiction. So, for example, people who are vulnerable to addictions literally feel more pain than someone who doesn't. And their ability to tolerate pain is lower. So we have to learn how to tolerate pain, suppress emotions, control emotions, become internally aware of cravings. And then there's also just basic executive function, which is the ability to set your mind to something and execute on it. So reduced empathy is another one. And I'm blanking on number 6. So I will give y'all a better answer. I just need to revisit some of that research. Actually, give me a second. Let me see if I have. Oh, here we go. Oh, boy. Yeah. Yeah, I'll put something better. I'll put something together that is better. That's the closest thing I've got right now. Omar is saying first time seeing Dr. K live. Welcome, my friend. Can we see this resource in our Discord resources? Bruh, that's a poster I put together when I was at McLean Hospital 5 years ago. I don't know that it's worth seeing, but I will give you this for sure. So if somebody wants to, if you guys want a better resource than this, there was actually a great post on our subreddit recently that they're like, Dr. K, you talk about all this science, but you never cite sources, which you are right. I do not. It's just, there's a procedural problem we have, which we're trying to fix. And thank you for reminding us that we need to do that. But here's references if anybody wants to take a screenshot. This is an awesome paper, by the way. So Retraining the Brain, a review of hypothesized neurobiological mechanisms is great. Where is... these... sorry. Oh, shit. Okay. These are the two references that y'all should check out. I mean, this one's pretty good too, but it's not... these are the two that are good. Okay? So to the person, if you're here and you're watching, there's my references for what I just said. They're always at my fingertips. It's just, we got to get to them. Any tips for embracing negative emotions? What a great question. What do you think about this? All right. So everyone's talking about embracing your negative emotions or sitting with your negative emotions. What the hell does that mean? What does it mean to sit with or embrace your negative emotions? So I know it sounds kind of crazy, but that's exactly what it means. So here's the problem. When we experience emotions, we tend to deal with them, okay? So there's an interesting study that showed that emotion-focused coping results in poor outcomes in life, okay? And I will pull up a reference at the end because I know where this paper is. So what does that mean? That means that when I feel bad, if I cope by making myself feel better, I will actually do worse in life. So let's say I feel bad. I feel anxious. Let me have a beers to calm myself down. I feel sad. Let me play a video game to cheer myself up. So if the focus of my coping is to alter my internal emotional state, I'm feeling angry and frustrated with my life, let me go yell at my younger sister to make myself feel better. Or y'all may have parents who did this, and you may have noticed that when your parent is having a bad day, the way that they make themselves feel better is by making your day worse. This is called emotion-focused coping. And what it means is literally acting in some kind of way that makes the emotion feel better. To embrace or sit with the emotion. The tip is, first of all, to do absolutely nothing. What you are doing is not doing anything. Take no action. None. And literally what you can do is sit. Go and find a nice place to sit and sit down. And close your eyes. And let whatever is there just be there. You may find that when you do this, whatever the emotion is, intensifies. Let it come. Tears can start to come. You can start to feel very angry. Your breathing will change, and you are just going to sit. The only thing you are going to do is nothing. This is something that y'all should be fucking experts at by now. Right? This is our audience. This isn't the normal people who are out there winning Nobel Prizes. This is us. We're good at doing nothing. Don't distract yourself. Just sit and do nothing. Now, here's the beautiful thing. Our brain has this capacity for something called homeostasis, which means that no emotions last forever. Literally. Right? My favorite example of this is happiness from a wedding day. I have seen so many people start divorce proceedings based on what happened on their wedding day. Because they want the perfect marriage. And the perfect, they want, no, forget it, sorry, not the perfect marriage. What they want is the perfect wedding day. And they think if I have a perfect wedding day, then I will have a perfect marriage. And since I have less than a perfect wedding day, I will have an imperfect marriage. But here's the problem with a wedding day. The happiness from it does not last forever. Because our mind comes to homeostasis. This is why we play video games and eat cookies every day. Because the happiness of the cookie doesn't last forever. It goes away. So here's the cool thing. Negative emotions go away too. Now you may say, but Dr. K, hold on a second. When I sit down and I sit with my negative emotions, things get worse. My mind starts looping. The anxiety intensifies. So now we get to an advanced technique for sitting with your emotions, which is that mental engagement is an action. This is something that Western science is just on the cusp of, but yogis figured out a long time ago. To sit with an emotion is not to engage with it. And this is what I mean. So if you sit with a negative emotion, you'll notice that your mind wants to like circle jerk you into a bad place. This means this, and this means this. I'm feeling sad I got rejected today. This means I'm going to be rejected forever. These people don't like me. 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 That is not sitting with the emotion. That is actually an action of thought. It is a mental action. And if you circle jerk your way into thinking in this line, observe your thoughts and notice how much your mind wants to engage with it. It wants to think about what next, what next, what next, what next. And with each of those thoughts comes a strengthening of the emotion. And then we're left with no choice but to use emotion-focused coping. We have to break the cycle. So notice, don't think, just feel. Feel, 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 feel. Do not think. If thoughts come and let them go. But don't engage with them. Don't follow them. Don't challenge them. Don't encourage them. Don't do any of that stuff. And that's why we use the body. So the second thing to understand, third thing, whatever number we're on, about how to sit with your emotions is literally sit with them. Watch them. Let them be there. Oh, feel what you feel in your body. Use your body as a grounding technique to get away from your mind. If you want to breathe, you can do that. But just feel, okay, where is the sadness in my body? Ask yourself this one question. Where is this emotion in my body? Where do I feel it? And whatever you feel, you can move in slightly the opposite direction. If you feel tension in your shoulders, let your shoulders relax. If you're breathing shallowly, let the breathing be deeper. If you're hunched over, expand. And this is how you start sitting with your emotions. And then something beautiful will happen. It's going to be completely OP. It sucks for a while, and then it starts to get better. And then you haven't done anything, but it's gotten better on its own. And now here's the problem. The problem with emotions is that when we feel bad, what we do to fix it screws us even more. So when I'm feeling sad about my day, let me binge watch something. And now not only do I lose 1 hour to sadness, I lose 5 hours to watching something. And now 6 hours have gone by, and this sadness, instead of costing me 1 hour, is costing me 6 hours. This is why we get stuck in life. Because the things that we do to solve our problems create more problems. In the East, they called this the cycle of karma, that no matter what you do, you get bound further. Any problem that you try to fix creates more problems. And so the beautiful thing is that the yogis of ancient India, they were us. One of us. And they said, do nothing. They're so degenerate. They're like, do nothing. But the thing is, why doesn't that work for us? Because they figured out that doing nothing means doing nothing up here as well. You need to be empty-headed. You need to be low MMR. Go back to the bronze tier. Embrace the bronze tier up here. Stop being this 4chan amateur quantum physicist genius and be stupid. Do nothing. Delay. This will be the thing that sets you free. Oh yeah. I think I've unlocked a new ability by doing nothing. I'm going to tell you all a story. The most important lesson that I learned in medical school was do nothing. There are just as many problems that we have in medicine by doing too much as doing too little. Even more. Because the problem with medicine is that most of our treatments screw something up in some way. So the real job of a doctor, the real reason that algorithms may not be ideal is because you want to do the minimum amount of whatever you can do. Because fundamentally, any kind of medicine that we practice in the West is going to be worse off than your body. So any basic thing like our ability to control your blood pressure is not nearly as sophisticated as your body's ability to control blood pressure. Hell, think about this for a second. A lot of human beings will go the first 60 years of their life without a doctor touching their blood pressure, and everything just works. This is how beautiful the body is. So when I was on my surgery rotation, was thinking about being a surgeon for a little while. 5% chance. So one of the fellows, a vascular surgery fellow, is brilliant, told me that the first 10 years of being a surgeon, or this was the attending, I think, first 10 years of surgery, you learn when to operate. And the rest of your life is spent learning when not to operate, how not to operate. And that as a surgeon, the worst thing that you can do for a patient is to operate. So you should only do it when you absolutely need to, because cutting someone open, which we don't even do so much in surgery anymore, is generally speaking not a good idea. So to do nothing is one of the most understated skills. It's the whole Zen tradition is based on this. And if we sort of think about all the problems in our life, where do the problems come from? They come from doing something, not doing nothing. And people say, oh, Dr. K, what are you talking about? I do nothing. For the last 5 years, I've been doing nothing. Bullshit. You've been doing a lot of empty something. That is not doing nothing. Sitting on your ass and playing video games is not doing nothing. It is doing an empty something. So we fill up our days with empty somethings rather than do nothing. For those of you that say that you've done nothing, I challenge you to actually do nothing. You won't be able to. We had a brilliant exercise that we did in our community a couple years ago. Stare at a wall for an hour. That's it. One of the most transformative things for like 5% of our community. People started crying. People felt really uncomfortable. People had catharsis. People went insane. Just stare at a wall for 1 hour. No distractions. Just let your mind run wild. One of the most powerful things you can do. When I do nothing, I start launching into daydreams. You're damn right you do. But let's understand this even better. You don't launch into daydreams. Your mind starts daydreaming. Why? Because your mind doesn't know how to tolerate nothing. So remember when we talked about emotion-focused coping and how people who try to control, when their coping strategy is to alter their internal emotional state, these people do poorly in life. So there is one beautiful way to alter your internal emotional state that requires nothing externally, which is to daydream. Because when I daydream, I'm exploring the universe. I'm living a beautiful life. Right? So don't engage with those thoughts. Stare at the wall. Let the daydream go. It'll take practice. It'll be hard. If you're someone who's got maladaptive daydreaming, it's going to be tough. Uphill battle for you. But same thing. Daydreaming is emotion-focused coping. Like literally, we've got papers about this. Now, since we're working on references, let me pull those up real quick. I said I have 2 references to show y'all, right? Let's pull them up. Give me a second. So this one is... Oh, shit. I have to find it, chat. Hold on. No, I want all of them. Yes, open 18 tabs. Don't think it's this one. Yes. Ugh. Hold on, chat. Don't leave. Hold on. Emotion. Damn it. I'm not able to find it. Oh. Can't find this paper. Okay, I'll find it and show it to y'all. What was the other one? I wanted to show you one thing that was about emotion-focused coping. So there's, oh, no, here it is. Ha-ha! Shit. Can y'all read this? Development of maladaptive coping, a functional adaptation to chronic, uncontrollable stress. Okay, this is the reference. So it is Mary E. Wadsworth. Hold on, now that I know what I'm looking for. Lucked out. Printed a paper, chat. Oh, shit. Ugh. Okay, here's the paper. This is the one. Okay, I just don't know if it's in the public domain or I have to use my login, but the origins of maladaptive coping. Let me see. Okay. So moreover, while avoidance generally predicts poor functioning. Yeah, this is the page that it's on. But this is a paper that talks about healthy and unhealthy coping skills. So there's one reference. What was the other reference that we wanted? No way you read all of that. That's funny, Chad. That's very funny. I read yeah, printers are still, so that's the thing. So I used to read things online, and once I crossed like 150 pages a week, I started printing some stuff out. So I'll read I print out about 30% of papers that I read, and I'll print like 50 pages a week. Why not take a picture with the iPad and screen share? Yeah, we could do that. But I wanted to show y'all one other reference. Oh, daydreaming. Perfect. Well, you guys know we did a whole video about daydreaming. Shit, where is that? We should add that. There's a stuff about maladaptive daydreaming. And then we're going to wrap for the day. How come you print them? Because it's easier to read. So there's also something else that y'all should be a little bit aware of. So a growing number of ophthalmologists that I know are getting concerned about these oil glands in the eyes that will essentially die out because people are not blinking often enough. So when you play video games or look at a screen, the rate of your blinking actually goes down. And if you don't blink enough, your eyes will dry out. And the consequence of your eyes drying out is actually that there's these little oil-producing glands in your eyes that will actually stop functioning. And so there's a growing number of people who require eye drops and stuff and external lubricants because this is happening. It all has to do with your blinking rate. So I try to minimize my screen time even when it comes to things like reading. So we don't know a whole lot of data on what really causes this or how bad it is, or I don't know that, but these are friends of mine who are ophthalmologists. When I talk to them about, hey, I'm working on video game addiction, these are friends from med school. You see them after 10 years and you're like, hey, what are you up to nowadays? And I'll be like, oh, I'm doing this stuff on video game addiction. And they're like, oh, I've seen this problem recently. I've heard it from 2 or 3 people. So blink, chat, when you play games. Dr. K, I think we need a Discord tutorial for the HG community. The server is huge. You are right. We've also heard that from our Discord people. So we have a lot of Discord leads that were telling us that we need to orient y'all to our Discord. Because the Discord is epic. It's so good. There's people who do fitness stuff. So one of the fitness leads, I was talking to a couple of the fitness leads. And one of the fitness leads was I was like, how do you, what kind of workout stuff do you do? And he's like, honestly, it's mostly mental. And he's like, most of what I do is encourage people and help them feel good about themselves so that they can start working out. And I was like, holy shit, dude, that's so epic. See, we don't understand this, but I have a hot take. You guys want a hot take about medicine? Half the diseases that we have are mental in nature. Obesity, diabetes, these things have a huge mental component. And if we can change people's behavior, we can fix those things. So we have type 2 diabetes, for example, is quite fixable for many people with behavioral change. And where does behavioral change happen? It starts in the mind. The problem is that we have an industry that does not reward helping people become healthy. So we don't do that. Who can blink manually while doing anything? I don't know. Can you blink manually? It's hard. That's not a hot take? Okay. All right, y'all. So we've been streaming for 3 hours and 15 minutes. I missed y'all. That's why I stayed so long. But I have stuff to write and things to do. And I have a lot of stuff that I need to get working on. And I encourage y'all to work. I'm going to be working all weekend. I think y'all should too. Don't procrastinate. Work hard, chat. Do your nothing very mindfully, and then when time comes, get your asses up and do some work. So Venti is saying, I'm morbidly obese. I'm only myself to blame. I respectfully disagree. So if y'all took one thing away from Sliker's talk today, recognize that if you suck at something in life, you're not the only one to blame. This is very important to understand. Because most of what we do, especially if we look at something like obesity, seriously, it's not your fault. It's your responsibility. Who eats healthy? People who are taught to eat healthy. That's it. Right? And you can teach yourself. Question number 2. What's way easier? Someone else teaching you something or teaching yourself? Cut yourself some slack. Recognize that 90% of your food behaviors are based on the upbringing that you had. This is what became habitual for you. This is the way that your neurons were wired. This is the way that you're conditioned. So it's an uphill battle, and you can change it. The problem is a medical industry, we don't support you in that. That's not our first choice, right? What's our first choice nowadays? Ozempic. Because it works well. And hey, you don't have to do anything up here. You can just take Ozempic. Not brought to you or sponsored by Ozempic. It's just, I've heard really good things about the medication. I don't do weight management or anything like that. Right? And so cut yourself a little bit of slack and recognize that here as a community, we are here to support you. And that just starts with an awareness. It starts with a little bit of self-forgiveness. And then it also starts with, what are you going to do today? Right? So if you're morbidly obese and you're listening to this, what are you going to do today? You don't have to fix everything. Oh my God, I'm not going to be able to eat like this for the rest of my life. Don't eat like this for the rest. Just today. Do something today. And then tomorrow, do something today. And then tomorrow, do something today. But it's never going to change. It's always going to be do a little bit today. Little bit, tiny bit. Okay? And that's what I'm saying is like a lot of people like Sliker was like, oh my God, like you're so good and I'm so bad. No, dude. It's just I was given the right kind of guidance. That's the difference. Y'all realize how lucky I am? That's the only difference. It's luck. So he calls it Allah. I call it karma. Call it whatever you want to. RNG. We're all different. We're given a different hand of cards, and it's just about the way that you play them. And you have to play the hand of cards you're dealt. There's no use worrying about what other people have in their hand. Apple a day is delish because it's the season. Will an apple a day keep the Dr. K away? Probably. How to start things you have been procrastinating for months and have almost given up on? We have a great video about multiple kinds of procrastination. We also have, so that's on YouTube. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. There's a new video on YouTube. I watch your videos, but nothing changes. That's great, dude. Oh my God, that's so epic. Man, I love it when people post stuff on the subreddit about like, hey, this is like what's going on. By the way, I read a lot of stuff on the subreddit, okay? It's like a lot of inspiration for videos. So if y'all ask questions on there, it's very helpful. If you're like, hey, here's my situation. And if you give some detail, like I'm not saying I can respond to all of them, right? Because we make at most 3 videos a week. But I read all of it. Or not all of it. Actually, that's not true. I read a lot of it. And I try my best to like file everything away. And I've got like all these different ideas. I'll read papers and I'll be like, okay, like this paper is interesting. But then if I've got a case or something, it really helps a lot. So thank you all very much for participating in that way. And hold on. So I would start with this. Oh yeah, okay, this is great. How to stop procrastinating 4 years ago. Okay, apparently I said something 4 years ago about it. How to stop procrastinating and finish projects 2 years ago. Yeah, so Mental Health Bootcamp is the one that I would recommend, even though it has the fewest views and is the most scuffed. But apparently I said something pretty damn good 4 years ago about it. I don't know. I don't remember what I said, but I said it back then. So check it out. Is that a re-upload? No, I don't think so. They're different lengths. But I think the boot camp is the best. But it's like longer, which a lot of people don't have the, because you got procrastinating to do. You can't watch a 50-minute video on procrastination. What is the best way to join the community? Join Discord. Thank you so much, Crow. Much appreciated, my friend. I meant to watch that video on procrastination 4 years ago, but I haven't gotten to it. That's why we made a 5-minute one. So literally, we're here. We're holding your hand no matter what you're doing. We're here for you. And if a 50-minute video is too much to watch, watch the one that's 5 minutes and 47 seconds. Do you have something on repression? Not so much, but maybe we'll make something. Okay, y'all take care. I'm going to head out. Otherwise, my voice is going to be shot, and then I won't be able to work tomorrow. So for those of y'all that celebrate Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. For those of y'all that don't celebrate Thanksgiving, happy Friday and happy weekend. And thank you all very much for coming today. By the way, thank you very much for being respectful to Sliker. I really appreciate it. We heard firsthand from the dude about how he is not the best human being on the planet. And also, that's okay. Right? That's what we're here for. We're here for all of y'all that are not the best human being on the planet. We're here for all of y'all that have screwed up in some way and want to do better. That's who we're committed to. So thank you very much for coming today. Thank you very much for being here. If y'all, yeah, that's it. I got nothing else.